And at 5:30 for the PGUSD School District Regular Board of Education meeting on September 4th. And with that, we're going to start with our land acknowledgement. So good evening. As we begin this meeting, it's important to pay respect to and acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Ohlone, Costanoan, and Esselen people, and additionally pay respect to elders both past and present. Roll call vote, if you don't mind, Dr. Adams.
Absolutely. President Dr. Hazen.
I'm here.
Kirk McNeary is not feeling well and so will not be able to join us tonight and so is absent. Trustee Otmar.
I'm here.
Trustee Shamas.
Here.
And Trustee Wax.
Also here.
So we have a packed agenda ahead of us tonight, and we now open up this agenda for public comment. If there's anyone here that would like to talk about any of the items. If not, I'm going to look towards the board. Any concerns, questions about the agenda? Seeing nothing, I will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Can I get a second?
Actually,
So you're okay.
if I wanted to pull an item off consent,
That's coming.
great.
Not yet.
No questions.
Okay. So same motion. Can I get a second on the agenda?
I'll second it.
Okay. Trustee Wax, seconds. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes 4-0. Say I'll make sure I look at you when we get to that section. So the closed session topics for tonight are negotiations, collective bargaining session planning and prep with the PGTA for 25-26 under Gov Code 3549.1 and collective bargaining session planning and prep with the CSEA for 25-26, same government code. And then public employee discipline, dismissal, release, leave, complaint, government code 54957. Is there any public comment on our closed session agenda tonight? Seeing no one online and no one in the room, we will go ahead and adjourn to closed session at 5:33. It's 6:30 and I'm gathering us back from closed session, where I'm going to start by reporting on the action we took. On item A, negotiations, information was received. And item B as well, information was received. And then item C, the public employee discipline, dismissal, release, leave, complaint. 3 information items were received. So with that, we now have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Dr. Adamson to lead us. And with that, I will hand over the mic to yourself again. Thank you, Dr. Adamson.
Well, thank you and good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our first item on the agenda this evening. We have a student presentation. This is a way that we try to start all of our board meetings throughout the year. And it's wonderful to have so many of our students from Robert Down here this evening. And I understand that they're going to be sharing a little bit of information about our Spanish program. And so it's my pleasure to invite Principal Brownfield to the front to introduce our speakers tonight. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to share this evening about one of our wonderful programs at Robert Down. We're so grateful to the board for supporting our Spanish program. This year, we've been able to expand Spanish instruction down to 2nd grade all the way to 5th grade. At this time, I'd like to invite Senora Nunez and our students up. Our students will have a chance to share their name and what grade they're in. So come on up. We'll start with student.
I'm Pippa and I'm in grade 5. My name's Emily and I'm in 5th grade. My name's Stella and I'm in 5th grade. My name's Amos and I'm in 5th grade. Emmanuel, I'm in 5th grade. My name is Luke and I'm in 4th grade. My name is Liam and I'm in 5th grade. My name is Oscar and I'm in 5th grade.
Hola, and I'm Señora Núñez. I'm the Spanish teacher, and we're going to begin our Spanish program presentation with our students singing the Buenas Tardes and the Acuerdo song. Muy bien, chicos, ¿listos? Oh, vamos a ver. Uno, dos, acción.
Buenas tardes, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, gracias, muy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted? ¿Y usted? Nuestra clase, respeta, participa. Mira, escucha, habla español, español.
Gracias, chicos. Siéntate, por favor. Gracias. This is our fourth year offering Spanish at Robert Down and Forest Grove Elementary Schools. We're very happy about that. I'm currently teaching in second, third, fourth, and fifth grades. I see the students once a week for 45 minutes, and in total, I teach 20 classes. The goal of the program is to introduce the language, but most importantly, it is to immerse the students in the culture, the food, the music, the art, and to help our students become global citizens. Kids learn through kinesthetic movement. They do a lot of fun things. They play traditional games. They read books. They dance. They sing, and they love it. They do this in a very organic, kid-friendly environment. Muy bien. Now we're going to listen to a skit with our students Estela and Emily. Muy bien. Adelante, chicas. Mira, ¿quieren venir aquí? Ok. ¿Listas? Uno, dos, acción.
Hola, hola. ¿Cómo te llamas? Me llamo Estela. ¿Y tú? Me llamo Emily. Mucho gusto. Igualmente. ¿Cómo estás? Yo estoy muy bien. ¿Y tú? Yo estoy muy bien. ¡Qué bien! Gracias. Adiós. Adiós.
Muy bien. Excelente. Chicas, excelente trabajo. As you can see, our students did a phenomenal job memorizing the skit. And as students become more familiar with the language and they learn more vocabulary, eventually you see real language acquisition. And they begin to combine the words and create their own sentences. Muy bien. Gracias.
I'd like to invite Liam, Asker, and Amos to say a couple of words about what they like about the Spanish program.
Buenas noches. Me llamo Liam Dempsey. What I enjoy about Spanish is that we have the opportunity to learn another language. I also love how Senora Nunez lets us play fun games such as Simon Says or Simone Dice. I also think about learning about the history of Mexico and other Spanish-speaking countries in fun. All in all, I love Spanish. Gracias, Senora Nunez.
Gracias, Liam.
Hola, me llamo Asken. What I like about Spanish is that it gives the opportunity to learn and speak Spanish. It is also very unique as we learn something new every month. Plus, it is fun. Overall, Spanish class is very fun and great. Gracias. This one's funny. My name is Amos Cohen, and I study Spanish in fifth grade. Last school year, my class and I enjoyed eating delicious guacamole in the garden.
Rico. Muchas gracias. Muy bien, chicos. Muy bien. Levántate. Muy bien. Okay. Now we're going to sing our goodbye song. We're going to end this session. Thank you. And we also thank you so much for this opportunity and your time. And thank you also to our principal, Bramfield, for organizing this presentation. Gracias. Muy bien. Listo, chicos. Uno, dos, acción.
Adiós, adiós. Chao, chao. Adiós, amigos. Hasta otro día. Adiós, adiós. Chao, chao. Adiós, amigos. Hasta otro día.
Adiós, amigos. Gracias. Muy bien, gracias. Ok, muchas gracias. Muy bien, gracias, Tito. Podemos movernos. Gracias.
We're so grateful for Senora Nunez and the ways that she engages our kids each and every day in their Spanish instruction, both at Robert Down and at Forest Grove. Every time I walk into the class, the students are all engaged. They're smiling and they're having fun learning the language. So thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you, Principal Brownfield, and thank you, Senora Nunez. You know, our focus, culture of we, and our three core values of belonging, safety, and prosperity, everything that your students have shared this evening really speak to how you are bringing that to life in everything that you do and everything they're getting to engage in. So thank you. And because of that, we students, every time we have students present, you are presented with a certificate. And the certificate, it's a culture of we certificate that really highlights our three core values. And this is on behalf of our board to thank each of you for spending the time coming and spending the time with us, for bringing such grounding to our board meetings and helping us be reminded of the why and some of the many hard decisions that each of our trustees have to make. It's so important to get to see your faces and help them get to see a part of when they make decisions up here at the dais, you're the reason. And so thank you for being a strong reminder for us. So I'm going to call your names, and if you could come up to the front, take your certificate. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and line up right here in front of the dais, and then we're going to do a photo with the board at the end of that. Sound good? Okay. Emily Letzinger. Luke Sproul. Luke Sproul. Thank you for the pronunciation on that one. Amos Cohen. Aliasco. Well, I'm not going to say it correctly. How do I say your last name? Say it again for me. Kirhan. Kirhan. Come on up to the front. Congratulations. Bella Greenlee. Liam Dempsey. Peppa Holt. And Senora Nunez. Thank you. I have one for you too. Come on up to the front, please. Oh. And let's give a round of applause for Emmanuel as well. Trustees, if I could invite you to the front to join for the photo as well, please. And
So now, after our room got a lot emptier, both literally and figuratively, we're now on to section 4, communications, where we start with our student representative, Ms. Silvera's comments.
Good evening. Closer. Okay. At PGHS High School, we had back to school night on Thursday, August 28th. It was a tremendous success. It was one of the largest attended back to school nights in recent history. Feedback provided from parents, students, and staff so far is that the night had a great community vibe, with multiple parent organizations in attendance, alongside ASB and cheerleaders serving as ambassadors for the evening. At the general session, parents were able to view the recent PGHS multimedia student production of the Breaker Challenge, which highlighted the values and traits desired to be a breaker. B, balance and well-being. R, responsibility and character. E, effective communication. A, academic success. K, knowledge for career readiness. E, empathy and cultural awareness. R, responsible citizenship. S, self-directed lifelong learning. As well as fall sports have kicked off, highlighted by the football team's 14-7 victory over Seaside High School on Friday, August 29th, as well as water polo, volleyball, girls tennis, girls golf, and cross country are all in full stride with league and non-league competitions. At community high school, staff and students attended an amazing field trip to Point Lobos State Park to hike, team build, and learn more about the amazing Central Coast natural habitat. Enrollment at CHS is growing. 8 students are currently enrolled, each making significant progress towards credit recovery and graduation in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those updates. And now we're on to the board member comments and written communications. I'll start quickly. I received 2 emails regarding TK enrollment and then 1 email providing kudos for the district. And we'll just say again, thanks to Senora Nunez for the presentation, but most importantly, what you bring to the students every day. So with that, I'll go on down the line to Trustee Atmar.
Thank you. I pretty sure I received the same emails about TK registration. And just a comment on the presentation that we just saw. I mean, that's the stuff that I think we're all kind of here for, and that just the excitement and the pride that you can see in their eyes. And I'm so grateful for Senora Nunez that she's here and that we are able to offer Spanish to our younger learners and start their career, their educational career off with beginning to learn a new language is phenomenal. I'm grateful for what's going on in this district. I think it's so cool. And that's all.
Thank you so much, Trustee Shmas.
I went to the Traffic Safety Committee meeting last week, and they did a presentation on the way to do the drop off at Robert Down. And you know, I said a few words at the meeting, and afterwards, one of the commissioners is Tim David, and he contacted me and said that, you know, he was interested in our policy, developing policy around the e-bikes and the motorized scooters. So that's just something that we're working on. We're not at the policy level yet, but we're putting it together. And then I asked Linda if I could bring up something with the board. And so I'm just going to bring it up right now. And then when we have our agenda items, if the board is in agreement, we can put it on the agenda for next meeting. But I saw the report about Watsonville's issues with pesticides impacting the school kids at the different school sites around Watsonville. And this has been an ongoing issue in many of Salinas areas and down Salinas Valley. But in Watsonville, they're especially concerned about strawberry fields because there's a certain, I believe it's a fungicide they use that has been proven to be carcinogen and affects people that are near it. Anyway, they are going on, there's this group that was and it wasn't necessarily with the school. I'm not sure who the group was, but they were doing like a hunger strike. So it just made me think, like, I would like to ask the rest of us, if you're interested in maybe doing some kind of a supportive statement for them, a resolution, I don't know what, something we can discuss, but I feel that it's about school kids. And so just because it's not exactly here, but it's part of our community still. And I feel like we should be supportive of what they're trying to bring attention to. So I'll bring it up later.
Sounds good. Thanks for bringing attention here too. Trustee Watts.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for bringing that up. That's great. We'll talk about it later. I got the same communications, and then a shout out to Director Anderson himself and his staff from the Forest Grove Elementary front office. They said that you worked real hard on the buzzer. People were left bloodied. And that was even before the busted pipes on the field. So lots of kudos to you all. The back to school nights were great. The book sale was great. Many ice cream socials, great way to start off the year and welcome new kids to new campuses. And then big thanks to Chief Day, Mayor Smith, and staff from the city for a joint committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about the traffic plan for Robert Down and a couple other things. So excited to see how those things progress.
Thank you so much. And now we're on to you, Dr. Adamson, Superintendent report.
Well, I just want to highlight as we begin the second month of school, I would love to take a moment just to say how proud I am of the incredible strong start that we've had across our district. The first weeks are always filled with so much going on. There's a little bit of adjustment as well, but it's just really neat as I'm doing my site visits to get to see students just adapting to their new routines, sixth graders in the middle school, our ninth graders, as freshmen at the high school, our littlest learners, it's a lot. It's a lot as we all adapt to a new year, and it's just really neat to see that going on. I think for tonight, I want to just highlight three key areas from our observations that I think is just important for us as a community to know about. Starting first with our joint city subcommittee, we had that last Monday. Thanks to President Hazen and Trustee Wax for representing the board in that meeting. A lot of great topics of discussion. We had really strong attendance as well in comparison to previous meetings. But really, we were able to go ahead and highlight, the city was able to present some of their plans for ensuring more safety with the drop-off and pickup zone outside Robert Down. We also had a chance to really discuss safe routes to school. That was definitely an area of focus, particularly among staff and family members who were present that evening. And so really strong discussions and ongoing plans on, how we are collaborating and working with the city to identify safe routes. Safety collaboration with PGPD is ongoing. We'll be talking a little bit about that in our safety presentation this evening. And Chief Day is here this evening, which we're just really, wonderful to have you here. And then we've ended with just a discussion about the structure of the subcommittee and moving forward. And really, discussions with the city, we've talked about making more of an informal structure. In moving forward, it will really just be the mayor and the city manager representing the city, and then on our end, one board member beginning for next year, and of course myself and Assistant Superintendent John. And really, we discussed the need for that to just allow for making that more as a report out and gathering input from our community. And we've committed to at least 4 meetings every year with the city staff and our district office staff as well. So lots to look forward to there. The second item is really just highlighting a few of the things I've seen in my site visits. Like I always talk about, it's one of my favorite parts of my job. And I think, what I really enjoy seeing is just how our culture of we continues to be alive at the beginning of the school year. When you're looking at, fifth graders imagining and being asked if their life was a soundtrack, what would that soundtrack be? And just hearing their creativity as they share that out with their peers. Elementary students being asked to distinguish what's within their control in responding to different circumstances. Middle schoolers researching and presenting on artists of their choice in unbelievably creative ways, and high school students using their influence to promote positive choices and build just a culture of kindness and really talk about and understand how their words and their actions matter. Well, special education students, as part of our ATP program, are really getting out there into the community, volunteering. And at our adult school, I'm just going to say one word, Zumba. I got to enjoy a class recently with our instructor, Freddie, and it was amazing. I just cannot encourage all of you enough to get out there and join one of the many classes that we get to offer. And then my last is really just to highlight our back to school nights. We have now completed all of them, finishing off and rounding off with high school and middle school last week. I was so encouraged, and our student board rep, Ms. Silvero, spoke a little bit about the student presence at the high school. At Pacific Grove High School, I got to see that at middle school as well, and really just seeing students serving as ambassadors at the middle school, hearing the hallways filled with music, and just seeing all of the different clubs and parent presence as well at all of our school sites. So just thank you to our principals, to our assistant principals, to our staff for really encouraging parent participation, which was so high at all of those sites. Just really encouraging to see. And really these events just remind me how essential our partnerships are. When we say culture of we mean it. And it's just so encouraging to see it continuing to be lived out across the district. With that, back to you, President Hazen.
Thank you so much. And we're on to item B now, our safety report.
I'll yield my time back to the board. We will be covering a comprehensive safety update under information item A.
Perfect. Your 3 minutes have been used. Much appreciated. We're now on to the individuals desiring to address the board. And this public comment on any item of interest that is within the board's jurisdiction will be heard. The board will also take public comment on each specific action item prior to the board action on each item. So if you wish to comment on a specific item on the current agenda, please wait until that item is being discussed. The board will allow a reasonable amount of time for public comment on each agenda item not to exceed 3 minutes per speaker and no more than 20 minutes per agenda item pursuant to board policy 9323. Speakers will be called sequentially online and in the room until there's no speaker coming forward on the agenda item or the amount of time has elapsed, whichever comes first. This is a meeting of the Board of Education, a business meeting being conducted in public. So please note the Brown Act limits the board's ability to respond to public comment. And the board may choose to direct items to the administration for action or place an item on future agenda. And this last comment is just a reminder of our shared commitment to the culture of we, fostering a safe, respectful, inclusive space, both here in the boardroom and beyond. So please treat others here and after the meetings how you would like to be treated. So with that, I'll move on to the individuals desiring to address the board from the community members first. Is there anyone online or in the room that would like to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay. Seeing none, any PGUSD staff on a non-agenda item? No one's rushing on the mic, so we'll go on to our consent agenda. And so these items are considered routine and may have been discussed previously. So there will be no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board requests a specific item be discussed and removed from the consent agenda. So each item approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted. So with that, we have items, it looks like A through K, and we'll go first to public comments. If there's anyone that would like to speak about our consent agenda. If not, board discussion, including our student trustee, anyone like to comment on consent agenda? Trustee Wax and then Trustee Almar.
I'd just like to pull item I, the contract for services with, I never know their name, Me-Earth, or, okay, Me-Earth.
And Trustee Almar, and then I'll put them in line once we get all the items.
I'd like to pull E, not everything from E, but I guess we'll just pull all of E because that's how it has to go.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that we take item E and I and put them at the top of the agenda under information discussion for A1 and A2, if that works. A1 will be E and then A2 will be consent I. So with those two being pulled, can I get, or any other board discussion, I should say, on the consent agenda? If not, could I get a motion on the remaining consent agenda?
I'll move.
Okay, and then can I get a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by trustee Otmar, seconded by trustee Shamas, and student trustee vote, yay or nay on approving consent?
Yay.
And all in favor with our student trustee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If not, it passes 4-0. So now we will go to item A1, which is item E, the out-of-county overnight activities. So as I think, yeah, trustee Otmar, you had.
That is me. Okay, so specifically page 25 and 28, water polo. Let me pull it up. Sorry. They're both related to the same thing. It's the transportation. So the water polo tournament, so specifically on both, looking at the names of the auto drivers. Means of transportation is auto. The only thing that box that is checked is fingerprint. Not release of driver record, not personal automobile information. And the same goes for page 28, which is the golf match. And I'm just noticing there's inconsistency in the forms as they're being filled out. Unless it's specifically a charter, it seems like it's pretty consistent, but yeah, I guess really what I'm looking for is more consistency. So I'm not having to go through each box to see if these people have been, if their driver record information has been pulled and is on file. Wondering if I can get clarification from that. I believe that's Principal O'Meara. Oh, Josh can take it then.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Do I?
yes, okay, thanks, trustee.
He had just signed it, so.
Yeah. Thank you, trustee Otmar. So all of our out of count, so OCA 1 and OCA 2 forms, those two boxes were not checked on those two forms. Is that what you're referencing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, on both
Yeah,
of those.
yeah. So before any activity is completed, the out of county activities form 1 and 2 have to be on file with the district office. I would have to check with Carrie in my office. More likely than not, these drivers already have an OCA 1 and 2 form on file. So when the site filled this out, they didn't check those boxes because it was a new requirement. But I will verify that prior to any form of transportation out of county.
Okay, that's great. I know this is something I've pulled before. The box checking. I'm into, it's the details. So yeah, as long as this is something that will be addressed, I mean, I don't want to approve something that's not completed. But you're giving insurance that it will be, or can we pull these and bring them back? I don't know when they're set to go, but.
Yeah. I believe one of them is this weekend. And the other one is the 15th, I believe, of September. So. It's
Yeah,
tomorrow.
tomorrow. One of them's tomorrow. Friday and Saturday.
If we can reassure that that verification will take place before that trip, even though that is tomorrow. And then, obviously the same for the next one, would the board be comfortable with, approving that? And then absolutely, I mean, your point, trustee Otmar, that,
Yeah, I mean, if I was a parent and my child was going in a private auto with somebody that I wasn't sure if they had their driver's record released or their personal automobile information released, I don't think I'd be comfortable with that. Fingerprints, one thing, I guess that's good, but yeah, I'm not comfortable with it. I also don't want to ruin what's going on with the polo team or the golf team, but okay for this time. But if it comes up again, I would pull it and say no. You're looking. Thank you.
So like if those forms haven't been signed, is there like a backup or or if that driver gets sick, what happens?
Assistant Soup Dawn.
Sorry,
If
I'm
we
just
have
like-
a.
Yeah, I mean, I can respond just on that and then,
Yeah,
basically though there's I know that as a parent, I've signed up to be a backup for people that can't do it, knowing that I have those forms on file from the beginning of this year and past years. So I think there could be other drivers that also have those forms on file, but I know that the coaches have said specifically to me, are you sure you've done this? And then they double check it. So Did you want to report back those have been checked and signed?
Yeah, the boxes just were not checked. I'm looking at the entire spreadsheet right now of everyone who's been verified through our OCA 1 and 2 forms, both the person who filled out the form on the water polo trip it has been cleared. And then the coach for the golf team on the other form has also been cleared in prior years. We have them on file. I'm looking at their form right now.
And then there's two others on the water polo.
It's
The
Casey
girls-
Lyon, Sophia.
Yeah, right now for water polo, Casey Lyon has been cleared to drive. Let me look at the other individuals.
Are we talking about the girls, JV girls? Water polo? Because I don't see Casey Line on here.
This was the one on page 20, the first one, 25.
25.
They had four.
Oh, I'm
four
sorry,
lists.
I'm on the wrong water polo. I was on 26. Thank you.
I just want to say, the interest, let's come back to this at the end we'll table it just till we go back.
Yeah,
Do you have-
so there's one driver on each one of those that has been cleared through our OCA 1 and 2 forms on either one of those trips. I just have to pull that form back up. Is there multiple vehicles?
It says, it
District
says
van.
auto and
Yeah.
4 people are listed.
Yeah, there's 4 drivers.
But this one, it says auto with an asterisk. I'm not clear what the asterisk is, but. We can pull and come back.
Okay, why don't let's move on to item A2I, and then we'll come back to this for a motion with that. So this one, item I that was pulled.
Yes.
It's Mr. Amir's item, but yeah, do you want to comment on that, trustee Wax?
Yes, obvious, or maybe not obviously, I am very much in favor of this gardening program and bringing in people from the community. But the hourly rate and per visit rate just seemed in light of everything that's going on too much for me to consent to, I guess, with everything else. So I just wanted to pull it off, I guess.
Did you have any specific questions, or do you just not want to approve it?
Well, in communication earlier this week, I asked if there were going to be specific curriculums shared with the high school, and Principal Amira responded that I actually don't have the printout right now. There would be some sort of curriculum, but I guess I'm still, for one employee, for 14 visits, it still seems a bit much to me. So I guess the questions that I asked before which were how many staff members there are going to be, which is 1, and then do we get some sort of curriculum, which Principal Amiro said that we would, or supplements. It just seems the cost still seems a bit high for me. And I don't know when this was supposed to be enacted, so I apologize if this messes up.
Yeah,
Could I ask Principal O'Meara to come to the front just to speak to it a little bit? That might be helpful, I think, for you and the rest of the board as well.
yeah, maybe to summarize the 2 questions that I would ask. One, just if you could speak a little about the quality of this program, what it brings to the district, for the cost, how you feel about the cost relative to that, and then secondarily too, if you know when the first visit is planned to be, if it is something that would need to be brought back if we miss any instruction.
Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's certainly understandable when you look at face value of the numerical figure and an hourly rate. I would respectfully ask that we look at the organizational curricular approach that Me Earth organization provides to our district. This is an ongoing partnership and collaboration that was started before my time, but actually came with enriched endorsements from CHS staff when I came on board at the beginning of last year. The environmental sustainable agriculture environmental piece that Me Earth provides to us is simply more comprehensive than just one employee coming for one hour a week. It's the whole approach of sustainable environmental stewardship, which we try to encourage and implement at at CHS. And so from an organizational standpoint, the contracted service seems appropriate. However, I haven't done a comparative study with other agricultural educational programs, but it certainly would serve our needs. And can I ask Sherry Dieter to come up as well, because she was part of the program from its inception. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This is over a 2.5-year partnership that we've had with them. So beyond what you're seeing, what seems like a high number for a contractual person to come out, it's been hours of on-site meetings. They host us at Me Earth as well, which is adjacent to Carmel Middle School. So they've taken us on tours there. They've helped us brainstorm about, long-term vocational practices for students, what's, hands-on learning, whether people might go into landscaping. They've helped us develop the mental health component that we've wound into our SEL. So they've come to us and spoken during our SEL roundtables. The director has come out and met with us as well, really to become embedded in our program and understand the needs of our students. So it's not a kind of a one-off person showing up to dig holes in the garden. They put a lot of thought into how they can help this be more than just a garden space, but very much an outdoor classroom connected to the unique needs of our students. They acknowledged last year when we started looking at the future contract that their number was high, and their goal has been to lower that number from their perspective. So if we were to approach the board again for spring semester, because this is a tight calendar that you're looking at for this year. Greg and I just met today, and we were talking about whether grants that might be available. I've done a lot of research on other possible funding opportunities. This is kind of our link to take us where we are, to hold on to them as an organization, and then see where this goes. And I know that with the pending discussions of the relocation, that's another long-term, aspect of this as well that I imagine is on your minds. But this is where we are. It's a beautiful space. And the garden was devastated, as you all very well know, with the storms in 2022. And it's been amazing work by facilities to help us start to get things going. We have 2 wonderful women in the community who've come in and really started to help to get it clean up. Now this is that link of the curricular piece. And again, I just want to reinforce that the countless hours they've spent outside of that number has really reinforced to us, I think, as a staff, of their value, because they see not just CHS, but what could they do to help create something for a food bank for our community? How might they tie in with us as a broader district? So it's a partnership, but so that's what I can speak to from my perspective. And I appreciate the fiscal oversight as always from our board, but that's the piece that I have to add. Is there anything else that I can clarify?
I'd like to suggest I think we should go to public comment probably after that, just quick discussion, then we can come back to board discussion and decide what to do. Is there any public that would like to talk on this item? None online, none in the room. So Trustee Wax, anyone else want to bring up on this? I mean, I'll say I appreciate the effort to look at a lower price in the future, but again, with the field trips, and I know there's nothing, again, personally, but a lot of times too, when you get into a consulting rate, there's a lot of time that is spent offsite preparing for it that doesn't go into so the hourly rate includes a lot of offsite prep that you're not charging that hourly rate for. So I'm unfortunately familiar with seeing very high hourly rates in my profession at times for that reason. So,
as just a closing comment, I would encourage any of you to visit the garden site. It looks amazing right now, and we are just really excited to move forward with the actual instruction component. So, I'd be happy to host a mini tour of the CHS garden at any time.
I guess like the background and the context of the contract is helpful, I guess, for me, because we're just looking at things as they come across our agenda. It'd be like nice to see it more formalized if possible in the in the contract about the planning or like the SEL components, just because that does seem, and like them hosting field trips, that does seem more inclusive than, you know, these 14 visits. To me. Just a note for the future. And then obviously, hopefully, talking to them about the rate for the spring semester.
Any other board comment? If not, we can go for a motion on this item.
I'd like to move to approve.
Okay, I will go ahead and second. Thanks for the discussion. Student trustee, vote on Me Earth.
Yay.
Okay, and for the rest of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? If not, it passes 4-0. So back to item E real quick.
Thank you.
Assistant Superintendent Joy.
So I did have a chance to now look through our district office tracking, parents, volunteers, and OCA forms, and I can report out that the golf trip, which is on page 28/915, John Martin is cleared to drive a district van. His OCA 1 and 2 form is on file, and it was a clerical oversight. Before they come to me and inform K-12, they're verified before they come to me, so the box just was not checked, but I verified it. I've got them on the spreadsheet. For the water polo trip on page 25, that's tomorrow, 9/5, we have, it looks like 3 autos. There's 12 students that are attending. There are 3 individuals, Walsh, Lyons, and Merrick, that are all cleared. I don't know if 12 students are going to fit in 3 cars, but I know that 3 of the adults listed of the 4 are cleared on our district tracking sheet.
And then the fourth I see is Sophia Sanico.
Not on the list, has not been cleared.
Okay, so
Fingerprinted, but not cleared with an out-of-county activity form 1 and 2 to drive a vehicle.
okay, so if we could find a substitute for that person, then I would be comfortable approving this, but I don't think it's appropriate to have someone that's not cleared drive students unless she's only driving her own student. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a motion we can make. If I guess we should go to public comment first. If there's anyone in the public that would like to comment on this item. Not online, not in the room. Would anyone feel comfortable making such a motion, removing or looking for a additional driver if needed, or the driver that's not approved only driving their own student if it is such?
another suggestion might be if there's a district vehicle that we're able to, like a van that we can. I don't want to prevent them from getting there, but I also don't want to put students in a situation where, I mean, it's a district liability. If they're not cleared and we put students in the car,
And that's why, I think we should just approve that these are the 3 people we're willing to, because they have on file, we'll go ahead with that. And if they can get a van, that would work, or if they can get a substitute that also can do that, that would work.
Yeah, I would just have to ask Principal Amira, but we do have an athletic van. We have 2 vans at the high school, as well as adult education vans, which those would normally be listed on this form. I mean, as it stands right now, there's 12 students. I'm not sure how you're going to fit 12 students and 4 adults in 3 cars. So that would be a concern for me as well. So the possibility of utilizing one of the athletic vans would make sense. You could fit 2 adults in the front and 6 in the rear. Director Anderson?
Yeah, I might suggest again, I think this needs to happen outside of the meeting. I think we can just approve with the drivers, and hopefully we can get, because again, there's probably other parents that are also, have made this list, so we should include them if possible. But does that sound good to you as well, Trustee Elmore?
That's fine with me. So I'll move to approve this. I guess both of them, E, with the exception, or with the change that Sophia Sanico is removed. And we, as a driver, and that we find either a backup driver that is cleared with OCA 1 and 2 and fingerprinted through the district. Or staff drives in a district van.
Can I get a
Complication, go ahead.
Can I get a second to that motion?
Okay, second.
Okay, Trustee Admar made the motion, and then seconded by Trustee Wax. Student trustee vote.
Yay.
Okay, all in favor from the rest of the board?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Not, it passes 4-0. So we're now on to info discussion. Item A, the district safety update. Assistant Superintendent Jordan and Ms. Barbara Martinez.
Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. I'm Barbara Martinez, Director of Safety for the district and also Principal of the Adult School. I want to welcome you to our 25-26 Safety Update. This presentation is all about our collaborative efforts with the Pacific Grove Police Department to build even stronger, more secure learning environments for our students and staff. We're going to cover the key initiatives and improvements that we've made over the past year to enhance campus safety. This includes new security measures, training programs, and community partnerships. Our goal is to provide a comprehensive overview of how we're working together to create a safer, more supportive school community. Safety is our top priority, and we're committed to continuous improvement in this critical area. I'm excited to share the progress we've made and outline our plans for the year ahead. This is an important topic that affects all of us, so I encourage you to engage and share your feedback throughout our presentation. Over the past year, we've made a commitment to transform our approach to campus safety through meaningful action and collaboration. Last year, we outlined several key initiatives, including strengthening our partnership with the police department, implementing a comprehensive security infrastructure, enhancing communication protocols, developing responsive safety training, and creating a culture of safety awareness. Tonight, we're going to review the progress that we've made on these collaborative initiatives, share feedback from school principals, highlight our infrastructure improvements, and discussion communication enhancements. We'll also outline our next steps moving forward. Our goal is to continue building a comprehensive safety program that keeps our campuses secure and our community informed and empowered. And I will turn it over to Dr. Adamson.
I have the next slide. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Well, I think as we've worked very closely with our new Chief of Police, Chief Day, in the last few months, and really that collaboration that I've been able to, really see firsthand has helped us, honestly just transform our approach to safety through the collaboration that we're now experiencing, even more so than ever before with PGPD. What we're focused on currently is really a focus on community-based, security, which emphasizes prevention. And with Chief Day serving, as we had, discussed back in June, as the primary point of contact through PGPD. And, a little bit later on tonight, he himself will talk about some of the, exact examples of, where we've had to reach out to him, and he has been able to, really step up to serve in that role. We continue to coordinate our joint training sessions, and that's been really a strong area of focus with Chief Day, working with our site leaders as we, really work towards building relationships, but also with a focus on prevention. Chief Day is committed to attending our site level safety meetings, monthly district safety meetings, and our community safety committee, our next one, which is actually coming up at the end of September. And all of this to ensure seamless communication and coordinated emergency response. He's also working with the district and our site leaders currently on really communicating on safety in the area of e-bikes and e-scooters. In fact, he was just at the high school earlier today, on that very topic, which I'll let him speak to later on. And really just the ongoing commitment and his participation in after-school events. That remains a commitment, and something that he truly has. What we really talked about was going to happen back in June. We're now seeing that in action, and that's just been really a pleasure to see, and a pleasure to work with you, Chief Day. Slide 4 just really kind of, highlights, the areas that in our communication and work with our site leaders, each of them with their safety teams at their school site have identified, key areas of focus when it comes to safety on their campuses. With that, again, just leading back to the commitment from PGPD, Chief Day serving as just a committed presence on all of our sites, monitoring when necessary, really involving and including in his regular patrols, check-ins at our school sites as well. And once again, we've really been able to truly see that in action. But ultimately, you know, what we're doing is, in a sense, collaborating more closely than ever before. And that is definitely a strong area of focus for our, you know, safety focus district-wide. I think the only other area for our middle school that I would highlight is there's definitely been a need expressed by the site, by Principal Roach and Assistant Principal Tabani, about just increasing the supervision, particularly at recess and lunchtime. And so that is something that, yes, we are actively working on to add additional supervision in the coming weeks. So that's really the highlight there. I think, you know, the important message here is just ultimately that, you know, all of these opportunities give us that chance to hear, and our ability to look back at our safety plan throughout the last month has been to identify areas of need at each of our school sites. I'm going to hand it over to Assistant Soup John to speak to the next slide.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Adamson. So a couple of years ago, we initiated the safety subcommittee for our district. Been a pretty successful group, full of very collaborative discussion with stakeholders where the district brings items forward. We vet those items with our safety committee, which is made up of parents, staff from school sites, and then emergency responders. We have fire, law enforcement, and so forth at our district safety committee. Our next meeting coming up this month, I believe it's September 30th, is our kickoff meeting for the year. We have 3 throughout the year. We're going to start out with strategically looking at how we can allocate available resources and funds this year, better allocate those funds. The committee is going to look at some of the staff input that we've received to continue to evaluate infrastructure and staffing needs across all of our campuses using data-driven analysis and feedback from our stakeholders. That's the most important part. And you'll see some of these items coming up in the item later on with our facilities quick start list, some project related items. We're going to be determining the best way to distribute the funds to address our most critical needs to our school sites, specifically the sites in need of those safety patches, so to speak, more quickly. And then this year we will work to establish a clear timeline for completing safety projects in phases to minimize disruption for educational activities and daily operations. And the goal of the initial 2022-23 comprehensive safety needs assessment was to kind of go out to our community, survey our stakeholders, which include our students, our staff, our parents, and determine what needs are at the highest level and address those needs through our district-wide safety committee. And of course, the most important part is look at our available funds that we have and prioritize our needs based on number 1, needs, number 2, available resources. And I think we've done that so far over the last couple of years. And that's one of the successes that we can highlight from the safety committee. Next slide. So some of this, the infrastructure improvements, I talk about this at my safety update just about every board meeting we have. But as you can see on the slides, we've made pretty significant investments in our access control, physical security across all of our campuses, where we create multiple layers of protection while maintaining a welcoming educational environment. That's a big deal for our community. We have district-wide visitor safety management that we implemented last year for digital check-in process. It also allows us the credential verification back to our fingerprinting that's housed within human resources for all sites. As a part of our physical barrier improvements, you can see the middle of the slide there. We've completed fencing at the middle school. We're making additional modifications at the middle school portico area. That's the area that adjoins the gym and the building A to better isolate the campus during instructional hours. And then a project that's on the quick start list tonight for the high school is additional barrier for the backside of the high school parking lot B. This has been discussed and recommended by the safety committee before and brought to the board before. We're now allocating funds to essentially fence off the back half of the high school campus. That's from Forest Grove up to Forest Lodge Road. We've also expanded two-way radio coverage by installing repeaters and adding additional handheld devices for our staff at our sites. As we've been bringing forward over the course of the last 3 years since Director Anderson's been on board, we've had a heavy focus on fire alarm systems and our public address systems being updated. And I can say confidently today that all of our public address systems are currently updated with the new infrastructure at all sites. And then finally, additional drop-off safety measures and traffic flow improvements are currently underway and will be immediately addressed by our City of Pacifico Public Works Department in collaboration through the joint subcommittee of the district and the city. Next slide.
So we want to talk about training and road safety initiatives. We've had quite extensive training over the past couple of years with regard to our Big Five. As a matter of fact, I attended today at the County Office of Education. There's a 2-day comprehensive training, which I brought a principal and some staff and some district office staff, and they're very excited to do some training here at the district office in their protocols. So practicing our protocols really builds the confidence and the competence of all of our staff with that muscle memory so that they know and they're able to carry out our drills. We have comprehensive protocols for shelter in place, secure campus, our Big Five: evacuation, drop, cover, hold on, and run, hide, defend. Our approach is multidisciplinary. We have a threat assessment team that evaluates and responds to potential safety concerns, providing intervention. Monterey County Office of Education is holding a level 2 threat assessment training in the near future. We also collaborate with the police department on assemblies, parent events, district-wide programs addressing pedestrian and vehicle safety, including e-bikes and e-scooters. And a shout out goes to Chief Day for creating that trifold on e-scooter safety for our community. We had a conference with Principal Roach for scooter safety, bike safety, coming to the middle school for grades, all grades actually, through their PE department. And we also deliver site-specific safety assemblies, presentations by the police department, including events like the bike rodeo at Robert Down and Forest Grove, and Safety Day, which we are planning in the spring. So upcoming events like our spring safety fair and the safety component, and at the Butterfly Bazaar, we'll have a table where we talk with parents and the community about our protocols so that we are transparent, so that they know what our protocols are, including our promenade with the principals and coffee with the principals. So we are out there, we're practicing, we're talking about it, we're living it. Thank you.
All right, and this slide just really highlights the multi-level approach that we, use to communicate and engage all of our stakeholders. There's definitely redundancy, but I think that ultimately ensures that we're able to, no one is left out of critical communications. At the district level, we have our safety committee, emergency notification systems, and definitely as much as we can, community safety events. And what's been neat is just through our meetings with our chief of police is really brainstorming new ideas and new ways, like having a booth at our upcoming butterfly parade as part of the bazaar that happens afterwards. At the district, at the administrative level, we have principal coffee events, back to school nights, and parent newsletters that our principals, send out regularly. Family engagement is really, we're focusing there on parent workshops, home safety resources, and as much as we can in really looking for additional ways to ensure two-way feedback channels. At the school site safety committee, safety plan reviews, all of that is reviewed and feedback given through the school site council, and of course classroom safety discussions and assemblies which are occurring regularly. And they too, as Principal Martinez just spoke about, we're looking at additional ways to bring those assemblies in and identify areas of focus. So essentially, this multi-level approach is how we go about ensuring the communication reaches everyone involved. At this time, it's my pleasure to invite Chief Day to the front, who's going to speak just a little bit to his specific area of focus. And again, I just that first line on there is not his; that really is ours. That just we really just want to share our gratitude on how instrumental you and the rest of your department have been. We've noticed just such a significant shift under your leadership, and it's just been really neat to have your involvement in so many events and situations since the beginning of the school.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Adamson. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. Dr. Hazen, trustees, staff, and members of the public. It's my pleasure just to share a few brief comments tonight on kind of the progression of the school year so far. I couldn't be more pleased personally and professionally with the rapid growth of the collaboration and the relationship since the end of the school year last year, when I was actually just arriving here in Pacific Grove, and kind of where we are here in the second or third month of school. I've joked about this a few times over the last couple of weeks, but Mr. Jorn and Dr. Adamson have quickly become favorites on my cell phone contact list. I didn't do that on purpose, but smartphones are smart for a reason, I guess. So my point in that is, yes, to be a little humorous, but to emphasize the fact that communication is healthy and direct and timely. And so, we've really started the school year out in a kind of a great condition or a great situation with relatively low priority calls for service, which, I have taken some ownership and just become a little bit protective over the district. It's a source of interest for me as a prior school resource officer, as a parent of 4 children. And so, I do it because, again, I want some ownership and, just to have collaboration in a program that we can all be very proud of. And so really the most significant incident that we've had since school started, most of you are aware of the traffic collision that happened on the first day of school. I had actually deployed saturation patrols throughout the district for the first week of school. And primarily that was to enhance safety, visibility, and to kind of get parents and those that were transporting and going back and forth to school back into a good, safe routine. And so we had a number of units out that week. Unfortunately, we did have a student involved in a traffic collision, which I won't speak a lot to this evening because it's still active and ongoing investigation. But other than that, it's really been more just assisting with advice calls for service, and welfare checks, things of that nature. So, I was on campus at the high school talking to Greg earlier today. The students are in great spirit. From what I see from the traffic perspective, generally, we have a good routine with the parents and those that are coming back and forth to school. But, we continue to focus on those safety issues that have kind of been brought up. I feel like my thunder's been stolen. Through our collaboration, we're looking at enhanced safety for bicycles, e-bikes, and, just kind of getting the education out there. I've had a few conversations with parents that, didn't even know that the e-scooters were, illegal to operate unless you had a driver's license. So just getting that education out there and making those changes. We are creative and authentic, more holistic about some of our approaches. You probably heard about like fireside chats. Well, tomorrow we're doing a bike rack chat at the high school. So, the objective is to speak with students and parents and just to get that educational component out there and to continue to talk about safety and best practices. And so, we have really started out on a good foot as far as that's concerned. The culture of the district's culture has really kind of spilled over, if you will, into my collaboration, just kind of being new at the table this year, attending the safety meetings that Dr. Adamson talked about and the multi-city district joint meetings. They are very productive. I mean, we're talking about, new programs or enhancing, safe streets and safe pathways and methodologies for coming and going to school through the neighborhoods and main arteries in the city. We're talking about enhancing drop-off zones and reconfiguring the infrastructure for some of our main routes with Pine Avenue and Robert Downey. So, other things, some minor parking stuff that Patrol has dealt with. We've deployed some of our community service officers to some parking that just needed some small corrections at the beginning of the school year. But, other than that, like I said, we've started out on a really great foot, and I am very proud and appreciative of the relationship that I have with the district. We will continue to move forward with, that educational component and the enforcement component as well. But, usually just, for everybody's edification, what I've found over 30 years to be most effective is to have a combination of education and enforcement. So that's about all I have tonight. I am more than willing to answer any questions if the trustees have any, or that pretty much concludes my presentation.
I think we have 2 more slides to finish up, and then yes, thank you, Chief Dane.
All right, so this is the slide related to moving forward. So we've talked a lot about what we've done so far and what we're planning on this year, but what are we doing moving forward? So our district, of course, remains deeply committed to continuously improving safety measures in our school district. And more importantly, as Chief Day talked about, educating our community. We're in the business of education. And this can be seen in many different ways. One of them is our after action reports, where we meet with law enforcement and devise a report that goes out to the community after any incident that's occurred. Having Chief Day at our monthly safety meetings with Dr. Adamson and Director Martinez and myself has been there's been a lot of eye openers that have been levied from those type of conversations. And then, of course, the most important part is maintaining our transparency through our district-wide safety committee. We have a detailed timeline of initiatives. This is posted on our website. We have a 5-year plan to enhance our safety and security within our school district, and we have a refresh plan. I recommend that anyone who's interested in school district safety, please visit our website. We have a pretty comprehensive list of documents there, as well as this timeline, which I've outlined tonight. During the winter of 2025-26, in collaboration with the City of Pacific Grove, we've talked about this already tonight, but we'll be completing improved drop-off and pickup zones at our school sites, as well as many of the other infrastructure projects that I mentioned earlier, related to Quick Start projects, which the board will see this evening. In 2026, Director Martinez mentioned this in the spring, we'll be hosting a safety fair day, which will include those of you that have been to the, oh my gosh, it's called the Night Out, City Night Out, first night out down at Caledonia Park. It's going to be something a little similar, where we have all of the agencies available in one location. We're working on a location within the district to host this, and we're going to have parents and community members, as well as students in attendance, specifically tied to district-wide school safety, drop-off, pick-up, busing, and the biking and walking to school. And throughout the process, we're dedicated to ensuring every member of our community feels secure, safe, and protected, starting with our students coming to and from our school campuses in the mornings. And with that, we will yield the floor to questions.
Thank you all so much, everyone, for the presentation, and I'll now open up for public comment on this item. Anyone online or anyone in the room, now is your time to raise your hand or come up to the podium. Okay. Seeing no one, I will now go to board discussion. Student trustee or anyone from the board that would like to speak on this item? Trustee Shamas first, yeah.
I have a couple things. One is, I didn't see anything about signage, Josh, but I know that there is signage being ordered or whatever. And it's part of the safety thing too. We did go to labeling the parking lots as part of a safety thing. But we're also wanting to add more signage for rules and regulations of the stadium. And so do you have an answer about that?
I do.
Okay.
So as it relates to additional signage on the school campuses, we're in the process of finalizing all of the edits for our evacuation plans and mapping. I know that may not be the question that you're asking, but that Forest Groves has been installed, and the edits were finalized this week and will be printed and installed over the course of the next few weeks by our grounds and maintenance staff. As it relates to additional signage at the football stadium, as well as the field here, we have no e-bikes, no biking on the track signs that have been procured. I don't believe they've been installed yet, John. Oh, they have been installed. Okay, well, they were procured and they were delivered last week, as well as some additional signage. I think one of the issues that we've been having has been education, right? So Chief Day talked quite a bit about that, but educating our students, educating our community about, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable on our campuses. And, having additional signage certainly helps with that. When we're walking the track, we can defer to the signage as opposed to just making a statement. So that's certainly helpful. But the continuing education that we're going to be providing to our staff and students through assemblies and the spring safety day, I think will help with that. But as it relates to signage, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, okay, so it's kind of a big job trying to educate the community about how to use the facilities. And there's this one, you know, that spot on the high school campus behind the baseball field. Okay, there's a little lonely sign says no pets, but everybody, it's like a dog park. Okay. All right. Now it's also a like a little jumping bike ramp, which I'm watching. So the e-bikes are coming over that embankment and then just doing wheelies on that, on the lawn there, and then coming back over. And I mean, this guy jumps over the asphalt walkway and into the other section of the, anyway, so that's going on. But just so you're aware that, you know, that happens a lot. Also, about like emergency responders. So we had an emergency helicopter land on the stadium last week. And it was just the firemen that were there. There was no police there. There was no traffic changing. That they parked in front of my house, basically in the third lane, or the turn lane, the middle lane. Then you know, so some of the neighbors came out, we all watched it, and we didn't know what was going on, but finally asked the fireman, and he says, yeah, we have, you know, there's a burn victim, he can't go to CHOMP or whatever, so he's being medevaced, thank you, out. But it was interesting because nobody told the school district that was happening. And then Carolyn heard it because she lives nearby, and she said she thought that the middle school field had been, do you know that? That at some point did we say that the middle school field could be used for that purpose in an emergency situation? I think I remember that. Yeah, but I don't know about the high school field. So I'm just bringing that up because it was an odd thing that happened, and the district didn't know anything about it. Maybe the police didn't know anything about it either. It was just there. And then the last thing I have is when you have your the city district meetings, would you consider inviting one of the traffic commissioners to come to that? Because typically they kind of get, I used to be on the commission, so I know this, but they kind of get left out. And so they hear things after the fact, and they're supposed to be available to give input, you know, and so I'm just making that request that maybe ask one of the commissioners to come or something.
We'll address that with the city staff at our next meeting, yes. And I think just to your point before that, I agreed, after that event, we absolutely will be following up on what the protocols are, because even if it's after hours, we should get some kind of notification at the district level that is occurring. So we'll definitely be following up on that.
Trustee Wax? Yeah. Related to what Trustee Schmoss was saying, out of curiosity, the emergency notification systems, so if an alert goes off, does that automatically basically send some sort of alert to district admin staff, or is it just kind of like per the site, like an alarm, or do you all get notified too without the? Are
you referring to the see something, say something?
No. I mean, the emergency notification system. Yeah, like the public address system. Does that somehow automatically communicate with district admin staff, or is it the result of a 911 call or something like?
Talking about like a fire alarm at one of the sites?
Yeah, or if something happened off hours and an alarm went off,
Well, fire alarm?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, so
I mean, if that's included.
So if you're talking about like fire drills, fire, we have a handful of alarms that go off at each site. When those go off, A bunch of people at the district office get alerts, get emails, as well as a handful of police officers.
Oh, okay. And it's just over email.
Yes.
Okay. And then, thank you. And then, again, everything kind of related in the aftermath of the first week accident, both by Chief Day and district staff has been proactive. I mean, it's been nice to see like how quick thinking everyone has been, and the bike rack chat is a great idea. I love all these ideas that you've come up with, so good idea. That's it.
I'll go ahead and say quickly, just to thank you also for the great discussion at the PG City School regarding the safe routes to schools. One of the things that was reported there was the significant upgrades that have been done by the city on the sidewalks, on the routes to schools, particularly on the main thoroughfares. But, again, part of that safe routes to school, complete streets is, coming up with a specific map for families that could both help, provide safety in numbers. So all the kids are walking in, one path, but then also potentially directing patrols as well. If you only have one street to patrol where many of the kids are walking, might be easier than the many feeder streets we have. The other one that came up, and this comes to your point too, Trustee Shamas, regarding the traffic commission, is one of the things in their plans, there's no bike lanes. And I realize we're not going to be putting bike lanes everywhere, but again, it seems like if we could do some sort of a bike lane pathway, safe routes to school for each of our sites, again, not on the thoroughfares, probably more on the feeder streets, would help provide a way for, again, kids to get to school more safely. So that's something I'm excited to have coming. The other part I was going to mention, and this was brought up actually, I think by Trustee Carolyn Swanson when she was still on the board, but the idea of the community patrol. So it sounds like Trustee Shamas and Trustee Swanson are already doing it. But it's one of these things we discussed with the, the funding issues. We just want to reconsider is, are there, I don't know, is this say something app, something that a community member could use? And if not, like what would be the way if we wanted to, again, we don't want everybody, but if we wanted to organize some sort of community patrol reporting system, other than nextdoor.com.
The See Something, Say Something app is something that's available on our website that any member of a parent or really any community member could utilize. So, right? Was it only a community member system?
The See Something, Say Something app, which was developed through Sandy Hook Promise, is targeted for K-12 education only. It's a free service that we receive, so it's to be utilized for our schools and reporting. We do utilize it for reporting from staff about staff and of course for our students, but it's for educational purposes only.
So we may just need a parallel system in place, whether it's a email system or, again, if it's Trustee Shamas, she's part of our staff, so she can be the primary notifier through that. But more seriously, thank you again for the collaboration here. It is really exciting to hear how quickly this has come together regarding everything.
Thank you. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to Chief Day. Thank you so much for everything that you're bringing above and beyond what I don't want to say what anyone would expect, but you're setting the bar super high. So you're going to need to stay here for a long time. And then thank you, Barbara, for what you do. And thank you all for being on the safety committee and dedicating your time and energy to this. I know it's a huge task and there's so many different facets that it can be overwhelming, but I'm really grateful for what you guys are all bringing and doing. I had a few questions. The first one is about the $90,000 budget that's put into place for safety. I'm wondering where these funds are originating and what the game plan is for the spending of those funds. I think it's coming up, but I just sort of wanted to get an idea.
Yeah, so the $90,000 was already allocated in the adopted budget, as you mentioned, for 25-26. Or the initial intent was for the SRO contract. So it's still in the budget, meaning we have the money available to us. And during the slides, I may have skipped over it, but we're going to bring to the safety committee this topic as to what are the priorities for the safety committee that we can bring to the board this year, and how can we utilize those resources that are available to us, i.e. the $90,000 to meet some of those priorities this year outside of what we normally discuss, which is facility infrastructure projects, communication, all of the other things that we've looked at. So the intent on the 30th is to broach that topic with our safety committee and to get some ideas from our stakeholder groups and then bring it to the board.
Thank you for that. A question that I came up with while I was sitting here, and I think Mike, it was came from something that you said, is as far as alerts that come through, foresee something, say something, or if there is an intruder on campus or some type of an alert like that, how is staff notified? Like in classroom, are there radios in classrooms, or is there, what does that look like real time, where if there is something happening that everyone is alerted immediately?
So in our safety plans, we identify many different modalities of communication, right? We may make an all call. We may have an email that goes out. We may have a text message that through our administrative chat, Google chat on our phone. We may use the telephone, or we may use our radios. We have many different ways of communicating, different scenarios that happen in our campus. We want to keep it as low key as possible, not to alarm or upset students,
Right.
If it's, if we have a troop of turkeys walking down Main Hall, right, we're just going to do a shelter in place, right? And we just don't want to upset the turkeys and just let them move on through. Or we may, put the alarm system on just to get the deer to run off our campus so that we can continue teaching. But if we have an intruder on campus, of course, we're going to take every opportunity we can, locate our campus supervisors, alert our staff, go into a secure campus at first, unless it's imminent danger. But those protocols are practiced for a reason so that we can just act muscle memory and jump into action.
And the right now the students are involved in that practice, right? I mean, I think back to, I don't know why we were all so scared of fire, but stop, drop, and roll. But covering for earthquake and all of that. But when it comes to active intruders, things like that, I mean, I know you don't want to.
So we don't actively, so I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
that's okay.
We have lengthy discussion today about the proper practice now, right? It's trauma informed.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of discussion and talking about tabletop exercises and talking about what would you do if, and really practicing that situational awareness and thinking on your feet. And having those discussions often, short discussions often, even between students and staff and parents. That's why we have our parents, know our protocols right off the bat. All of our protocols are listed. And so not just at school, but at home, and having those conversations about what would you do if.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Sure.
And then something that I cannot help but bring up while we sit here talking about safety is the SRO contract. That is something that I'm very disappointed. I was very disappointed to see go. Unfortunately, I wasn't sitting up here when that happened. I wasn't physically able to be here, so I wasn't able to have my voice heard at that time. I know that we're talking about the $90,000 safety budget that came from that contract being canceled. I would like to see the SRO contract come back in front of the board. I would like to start that conversation again. I think that having that contract canceled is a disservice to our district. I think it provided a link between what a police officer can look like as far as safety, emotional support, and just, well, Officer Hill is so special, but she really brought something wonderful to the students and to our community. And I think that we are missing something big now because of that. So while I appreciate that the $90,000 would be used in a budget, I think the most effective use of that money would be to bring that contract back. And I would like to propose that we bring that to discussion with Chief Day and with administration and with the board. Again, so that we can have an informed discussion and encourage parents to become involved and staff to speak up and talk about how they feel this is important for our kids as well.
If I could just speak to that last item, because I think we're, one of the things that came up recently, we're in a bit of a time crunch in terms of it's not something we can bring back immediately, even if we wanted to, due to staffing concerns for the city. But one of the things that we have requested in the past is that the SRO contract be discussed alongside other safety options. So we do it as a more comprehensive suite before the next school year, I think would be a very reasonable approach. I know that might not be as quickly as you would like it to be, but that would be something I would be interested in seeing, just to see what the options are. And yeah, I mean, part of the reason I think we didn't vote on that item was cost savings too, though. So that's something to consider as well. It's like if
you can't really put a price on safety. And I think we can look around this country and realize that things happen in places you don't expect them to happen. And I'm not trying to drop the bomb of fear here, but I'm just saying it does make a difference to have an officer.
I understand. If I can finish this, because I'm just talking about the 90,000 for if we can't hire the SRO and can't consider that this year due to staffing concerns. I'm wondering if the 90,000 again should be part of the bigger budget discussion, not necessarily 100% earmarked for safety, but again, we need to see what those needs are before we can make those decisions. Is I guess where I'm trying to go. So yeah, I'm not trying to sidestep your point there, but I do think.
Yeah, I would like to open the conversation back up in whatever capacity that needs to happen so that we can see this contract hopefully come back. And whether that's putting it on the agenda again, or that is beginning meetings or discussions, whatever that looks like. If I have to be a part of that, I would love to do that, but I'm not ready to see that contract not be in our district anymore. And that's all I have.
Trustee Wax.
Sorry, I know there's a lot tonight. Mr. Lewis, I don't think this was covered in the presentation, but with the new security system, isn't there also like a automatic weapon kind of like identifier with the video surveillance system? Is that right? Am I just
So our new software, our DVRs that record the closed circuit television as well as the cameras are capable of having that feature, but we have not installed that feature yet. And that's the analytics that we talked about in the past. And there was initially some pushback from our safety committee and this board as it relates to installing analytics and geofencing on our camera system. So the systems are capable of having that feature, but we do not currently have it in operation right now.
Is it an additional charge, or is it just a feature that hasn't been turned on?
It is an additional charge, but the good news is that any camera that all of the hardware we've purchased is capable of receiving that form of technology.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Okay, and just a reminder too, this is a information discussion, so I think we've given a lot of direction potentially to come back. I tried to take notes on that too, but if there's any lack of clarity, obviously, please let us know on that. Okay, with that, I'll move on to the item 8, the public hearing. So this is 8A, resolution number 1162, and I think this is going to be.
It's me. It would normally be Dr. Hackworth, but he is in Scotland with a very long commute to take his daughter to college. So yes, indeed, I'm serving in. So this is really something we have to do annually. The Williams Act is a California law that arose from the 2004 court case, Williams versus the state of California. The basis of the Williams case was that agencies had failed to provide students with equal access to instructional materials, safe facilities, and qualified teachers. It established a baseline of expectations for schools in providing acceptable conditions for learning. State educational code and board policy requires the district to hold a public hearing on the sufficiency of instructional materials each year before the end of the 8th week after the start of school. I'm hereby requesting that the Board of Education open the hearing for Resolution 1139, Sufficiency of Instructional Materials. A list of the most recently adopted materials dating back to 2014 has been provided in the board packet. After the hearing, as an action discussion item, we'll request that the board accept resolution 1139.
Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 8:02 p.m. See if there's anyone on the board that would like to discuss, or from public or staff member as well. Okay.
I have was it? Okay.
Sorry.
A question about the middle school curriculum, and I'm not sure if this is a typo, but history, social science says 2006. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, but there have been
Updated
updates
material.
from exactly.
Okay.
That's it. And that's very
long as-
typical with all of the programs that we use. And thank you so much for.
I just want to make sure.
I know that would be pretty bad.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public or from online or? Okay. If not, I will close the public hearing and we can move on to the action discussion item on the resolution, where will be another opportunity for each of these items. So I am closing the public hearing at 8:03 p.m. and moving us towards action discussion item A, resolution 1162. So we already heard the presentation, just another opportunity here for public comment. Or any concerns regarding the hearing or the materials? Not looking to the board. I think we got answers during the public hearing, but no other questions. We then have an opportunity for motion to approve resolution 1162 and sufficiency of instructional materials.
I move to adopt a resolution number 1162 for the sufficiency of instructional materials.
A second.
Motion made by trustee Wax, seconded by trustee Otmar. Student trustee vote.
Yay.
Okay, and all of the rest of the board in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If not, it passes 4-0. So now on to the general obligation bond quick start list. Assistant Superintendent Jordan.
Thank you, President Dr. Hazen. Just a quick background, and it's in the cover page tonight before I invite our visitors up to the podium. The district awarded a contract in 2025 to Asonio Inc. and Brailsford Dunleavy to assist in the development of our construction and modernization program with our school district. This is our bond master plan programming. As a reminder, Asonio, Brailsford, Dunleavy will be performing a variety of tasks under the agreement that was approved by this board in June. And tonight we'll have Dustin Connor, who is project manager for Asonio, as well as Cody Carpino from Brailsford and Dunleavy, here to give you a presentation on a little bit on their background, on the program itself that we're developing, and then lead us into the approval lead us into the action item approval for our quick start list, which if the board formerly this was labeled as the reprioritization list that was brought forward by Director Anderson. Now we're relabeling it our quick start list. So essentially this is our project list for 25-26. And I'll hand it over to Dustin Connor.
Thanks, Josh. Good evening, President Hassan, trustees, Dr. Adamson, Mr. Jordan, community. We're excited to be here tonight. This is our first time in front of everybody, and want to introduce ourselves as your bond program manager. We've been here for a little bit of time now, so we want to talk about what we've been up to thus far and where we're headed with managing the bond. And then as Josh mentioned, we're working towards we've put together a quick start project list, and we want to overview that and then and look for approval on that list to get started on 2026 projects. So we are Asonio Incorporated, construction manager, general contractor based out of Castroville, been in business for 65 years. I'm Dustin Connor. Sam Phillips is also on our team. We have been doing construction management mainly in schools for about 10 years now. And Andrew Asonio is our second generation owner. And Andrew instills in us that in this small community with having reputation is an important part of our existence here, and in the small community, doing a good job keeps that good reputation going, and small things can actually take that down pretty quick just because word travels. And so we plan to do that here at PGUSD, and excited to be on board.
Again, my name is Dustin Connor. I'm construction manager, senior construction manager, and I'll be the program manager for the district. I've been in the industry for about 20 years now, doing mainly schoolwork. I had a brief stint over at the Monterey Conference Center, and I have vested interest in this project because I am resident here in PG. I live across the street from the high school. My kids go to Forest Grove, and I'm a PG alumni, so this is a passion project for me.
Cool.
Brailsford and Dunleavy is our partner on this project, and we have Cody Carpino here with us today, and Mark Newton's also helping out. Brailsford and Dunleavy is a nationwide company. They've been around for about 30 years now, and what Brailsford and Dunleavy brings to this team is perspective from across the country on their book of work, and so. With this team, you get the local commitment with the backing of a big time firm. I'm going to let Cody introduce himself when he comes up here to talk about the Quick Start projects. But Cody and I have been working together for 5 years on other programs. We work well together, and I consider him a good friend. So happy to be teaming with him on this effort. And then I want to introduce Ann Kennedy Group. They were not able to make it tonight, but Ann Kennedy Group, or AKG, is our bond compliance officer. They work across the state of California on bond measures for most of the districts. And what they do is they're a financial tracking company. They have a system called BMET that is a web-based software that links to the district's financial software. And nightly we get updates on how we're spending the money, and they put together reports. So we have transparency on how things are going with the bond. Those reports get shared with the district and with the community. And so when you start doing many projects over many years, making sure that all the dollars and cents are falling into the right pots and we're keeping track of that is key to that. So they'll be helping us with that. You'll see some BMET reports tonight. That's the list. Our Quick Start list is actually on the BMET software right now. So now we're going to talk about our what we've been up to and where we're going with this bond program. So this is an outline of all the activities that we've been working on, and with our goal to come here in November and present a proposed master plan, which is basically a list with budgets attached to it that equal the Measure B bond funding. So how are we going to spend the money? That's the big question, right? So our first month we got started, we had a team building meeting with DCA, our district architect, and the facilities managers here at the district, just to get an idea what is the impetus of the bond, what are the main priorities, and get to know each other as we start working on this project together. We created a decision-making process document, which we call the flight gauge. So we meet with the district weekly. It's a dashboard document that tracks all of our tasks, and we get weekly feedback from everyone to keep us moving, which is awesome. We started in on identifying our quick start list. So that was mainly priority 1 projects that we wanted to get started on and really get, show the bond monies going towards the community, getting started on this stuff right away. And then we dug into the facilities master plan. So MGT put together a facilities master plan. It was approved here a couple months ago. So we've been getting into that, understanding what that consists of and how that was put together. And then we started getting out into the campuses and just getting to know the district, and we're doing what we call a gap analysis study. So that's take that master plan, understand what's in that, and then go look on the campuses, meet with the community and in the district, and just is there anything else we should be considering as we're putting together this big list of projects that we need to sort through and come up with a plan. Second month, we really dove into the quick starts. So we did our scoping, budgeting, we got design proposals for that, and we have the list here tonight that we're ready to present. And then again, the gap analysis. So we've been to all the campuses, and we have all those scopes together. And so we're moving into our third month, which is going to be which is this month, September. And this is going to be heavy estimating. So got to estimate all the scopes, put together all the budgets, and that's across all the projects that are on the master plan and in our gap analysis. And so we're going to call that we'll originate our full need master budget. And usually when this happens, the full need master budget is going to be larger than the available funding. And so then we'll start working through that. We're following the logic of the MGT plan, which is to go through priority 1, 2, 3 projects. 1 and 2, we want to get started on soon. That will be the first list that you see after the quick start list. And then we'll start working on the priority 3 projects with the remaining funds. And so just a reminder, the priority 1 projects are the safety and just immediate need projects. Priority 2 are enhancement and modernization of current program and getting what we have back up to speed. And then priority 3 is enhancement, additional programming, longer term goals, bigger projects. Also this month, we'll be working on other consultants. So we need to get Iowa inspectors, special inspectors, and other engineers to help us with our construction efforts that we're going to embark on. We need to start looking at our interim housing. This is also called swing space. So the goal to accelerate the schedule is we need to find open space in the district or find ways to create other space on the district so we're not shoehorned into just summer jobs. We can really speed up that schedule if we can find some interim housing. We'll work on our schedule. And then we want to start talking about delivery methods. So currently the district uses a design bid build format procurement model. That's where you hire the design team, you get through design, you get your permitting, you go out to bid, and then you bring your contractor in to build the project. And that works for a lot of projects. But when you start getting into more complex projects with more constraints, we've been using lease back and design build methods. And these are models where you get your designer started, but through that design, you bring on the contractor and they work as a partner to work through and kind of and streamline the construction process by being involved on the front end. So we'd like to talk about some of that as we get going throughout with our master plan proposal. And then we're introducing ourselves to the community. So we're here tonight in front of you all, and we're going to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee meeting on Tuesday, and we're going to be attending the bond subcommittee next month and making our way through the community and getting to know this district even more. And then we'll get to our 4th month. So we'll have those priority 1, 2, 3 projects all priced out. We'll see where we're at with priority 1 and 2, where that dollar amount lies, and we will we'll start identifying any additional matching funds. There's Prop 2, that's a state funding source that we're going to be looking at, see if there's eligible projects that we can apply to that Measure B money. And then we'll be back here with those priority 1 and 2 projects for another presentation similar to what you're going to see here for quick starts. Looking for approval in November or some feedback, and we can be back with revisions. And then the next step is to be going into December to start looking at those priority 3 with the subcommittee. And so here's the plan again. And so what I want to say is the plan is what we're planning right now. We're still collecting a lot of data, and the plan may change. Bond measures are a long-term project, and priorities change, and budgets change, and just there's a lot of evolution that occurs here. So we're here to facilitate and work with the district and get the best bang for your buck and do a good job. So now I'm going to pass it over to Cody. He's going to go through this quick start list, the action item for tonight.
Thanks, Dustin. Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Adamson. It's an honor to be here this evening and continued working with Dustin and the Ausonio team. My name is Cody Carpino. I'm a director with Brailsford and Dunleavy. I'm also a licensed architect. I come from 20 years of private practice in education. I've always had an affinity for education. Both of my parents were educators, and so I've sort of fallen into the niche of K-12 and community colleges. Mr. Jordan and I have worked together in both of our paths, and so really excited to be working with him again and with your board and this district. So what I'm going to do here today is kind of talk about the fun stuff. We're going to talk about the scope of work that we've developed for the Quick Start projects for 2026. And what we've developed here is really an attainable set of scope of works that we can finish in a summer. I remember when I was a kid, we had 3-month-long summers, 12 weeks, we had plenty of time, and now things have just shortened down. So what we've developed here is not something we've just developed in a vacuum. We talked to Director Anderson and Mr. Jorn, and then I know that it's been shared with the site principals as well. And there'll be plenty of more conversations along the way. And so what we've developed here is a slide for each campus. On the right-hand side is just an easy, I'm a visual guy, so we put together a Google Earth image with the scope of work. And then on the left-hand side is generally the scope of work that we're proposing. So starting with Forest Grove Elementary School, we are going to resurface and restripe the playground. Forest Grove is a terraced campus, and so we'll be taking down the surfacing on the lower part as well as the basketball courts, restriping that. Also redoing the playground equipment, so the basketball hoops and possibly the ball walls and everything else that's up there. ADA accessible path of travel improvements. So the yellow box that you see is really getting a accessible path of travel from the parking area to the front of the campus and then all the way through the playground and then up to the baseball field. Mr. Jordan talked a lot about fencing improvements. There are none here on this campus, but we are very aware of some of the safety concerns, and I'll be sharing that on some of the other campuses. Other code items like replacing the stairs and handrails for code compliance. We hear a tree fell on this modular that's currently going through, just got DSA approval. DSA is the jurisdiction that reviews school projects. That will be starting construction very soon. And then we also have multi-purpose room interior improvements. Robert Down Elementary School, very similar to Forest Grove. We are also doing the playground resurfacing and restriping project. Also ADA accessible path of travel improvements, including to the extension up to the field. Also replacing the stairs and the handrails for code compliance. And then also the path of travel up to the street. And then we hear there's no HVAC currently at the library, so we'll be adding that as part of the summer work to ensure that there's ventilation in that space. And then currently there's a fire alarm replacement project that's in design. Oh, one more thing, the westerly side here, we understand that there's a rickety fence, and so this is part of the security improvements between the residential apartment area and then the backside of those portables. Pacific Grove Middle School, you'll see that the budget is not huge for this. I wanted to emphasize that the district has already put in a fair amount of effort on this campus with painting, fencing improvements, a few HVAC replacements. We do have a large HVAC project that we are planning to do at this campus. It is not part of our action tonight. This will be part of the budget list that we develop in November that we'll bring back to you for approval. And then that hopefully will be done by summer of 2027. So we are continuing to paint some of the buildings, gymnasium and the modulars, a generator to be added on the south side of the campus. And then this is one of those fencing improvements on the southeast corner of the campus to help with security from the public right away. Pacific Grove High School, the yellow blob there is ADA path of travel down from the campus level down to the baseball field. It's a significant elevation change. So we'll be adding in a series of switchback ramps to get down to the baseball field. Fencing improvements that was mentioned earlier by Mr. Jorn, off Forest Lodge Road, parking lot B, adding some fencing to help with perimeter security. There's a switchgear project that's currently in design. We are also looking at paving the fire lane east of the library to complete that fire lane loop. Right now, it does not suit a fire engine very well. So we'll make sure that we pave that. And then a few other items like helping with a drainage issue at the library. Pacific Grove Adult Education. I'm actually going to talk about two different projects on this campus. The first is the same scope as Forest Grove and Robert Down, resurfacing the parking lot and restriping, as well as ADA accessible path of travel improvements as shown in the yellow block here. Fencing along the perimeter. We understand there's no fencing down here off 17 Mile Drive, and then also on the south side of the property, again, to help with security from the public right away. A few other random items, demolition of the nursing annex, which is this building here, as well as utility relocation. Then the butterfly room window replacement, which is at the administration building. And then what I want to talk about here as a separate project is in the blue blob is community high school relocation. This is for conceptual design feasibility study only. We're going to have the architect study it to see what this could feasibly look like in terms of a relocation of Continuation High School from the David Avenue campus. I wanted to emphasize here that the study will include costs of doing new build versus a renovation at the David Avenue campus. And then lastly, the David Avenue campus. The concern we have here is the campus was not originally built under DSA purview. Again, DSA stands for Division of the State Architect. So anytime you touch a building, there are oftentimes structural upgrades that are required in other code provisions. So our concern here is, or our thinking here is that moving the Continuation High School to the adult ed will likely be cheaper than renovating the existing buildings on this campus. So in the meantime, we are also going to do a feasibility study. Feasibility study means just sort of conceptual level, kind of figuring out what it might cost and maybe some initial ideas on the design. And so we're going to do a conceptual feasibility study on getting new ADA parking up here on David Avenue, and then getting a path of travel accessible down to the campus. As you probably know, it's a significant elevation change between David Avenue and the lower restrooms. And so we want to study that and see what the costs will be before we bring that back to the board. And I'll hand it back over to Dustin.
Okay, so this is our action item. This is the BMET list, the quick start list that we're proposing to have approved tonight. Each project is broken into the campuses, totaling the totals that you saw on the slides, and then some things to note here at the bottom. We put some money to the side. This is all the money that remains in Measure D. So we are not spending any Measure B money on these quick start projects, which is a bonus because we're picking off a lot of Priority 1 projects with this effort, and we still have sheltered all the Measure D or B funds for our next list. And so with that said, we've got the program management line item here, so keeps us running throughout the year until we sell the Measure B series of bonds next year. And then we also put a contingency line item there, so if another project comes up or if there's change orders, we have reserves so we can work within this little mini bond program here for the year. And that is it for our presentation. Questions?
Thank you so much for the detailed presentation. I'll go out to the public first, see if there's anyone from the public that would like to make a comment. I see one person coming up to the mic. Thank you. Scrooge.
I'm Christine Gruber and I work at Forest Grove. And I was so excited. I went through the whole packet and I just have one small thing. And because Forest Grove does not have a lot of play structure or anything for our kids. We have some basketball hoops and the one play structure for the kids and the sandbox. And I saw that the sandbox is coming out and tables are going to be put there. And our kids are not kids who sit and hang out together. They need things to play with. And my only thing would be to replace the sandbox either with another sandbox that would be covered safely, or if we could put some other kind of play structure in its place and not tables, because we have plenty of tables and they don't need another, because we're getting that, oh my gosh, it went right out of my head. Just the seating area on that other side. Amphitheater, thank you, went right out of my head. And so they'll have a place to sit and hang out. So we don't need more tables over there for them to sit and hang out. We need something for them to do. That's my only request. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the comments. Anyone else from the public who would like to comment? Okay, if not, I will look to the board, see if there's any questions from our student trustee or anyone on the board. I might go ahead and start because I didn't see anyone rush to raise their hand. The questions I had, one and was brought up from some previous questions, the repairing of the structural damage by the fallen tree for that portable. Is there any hope of that money being recovered through insurance? Okay, so the answer is yes. So that is the thing, because the second part of that, I saw painting modulars at PG Middle School is another thing, which I hate the idea if we're going to be doing some creative ideas of and maybe getting rid of modulars and building new buildings. Is painting really a number one item we want to put that money towards? So yeah,
I would just suggest it's a nominal cost to maintain our building envelope, which has been kind of like one of the highest priorities for our buildings that Director Anderson brought forward. So roofs and walls make up the building envelope. So minimal cost associated with painting. It's also going to unify the campus. Right now, we've painted about 2/3 of the middle school campus, but we definitely understand there will be projects that are derived from our facility subcommittee for priority 3 projects and maybe priority 2 projects that might have future use in that area to be considered. But I would just suggest that, painting is a small cost associated with maintaining the building envelope.
I'll be honest, that's just the one that I would say if there's a way to cut, just because, or at least to push off as long as we can. And maybe it already is past that point. That's where the visits would be useful to see. And you just mentioned, again, thanks so much for this. I know this is phase 1, but I really just part of the reason I bring that up again is, I really feel like this bond is an opportunity for us to push our district towards creativity. So I'm excited to see what will come, as a potential, whether it's the rebuild or the moving of the community high school. I think really we have an opportunity to do some really cool stuff, recognizing the dollar every day is going less and less far, but still looking forward to see what we can do. So please, Trustee Otmar.
Thank you both for the presentation, and the graphics are excellent because it helps to understand exactly what's happening as opposed to just reading it in words. And my questions, and also thank you for bringing up that we're using Measure D funding now, because that was one of my questions. But you clarified that, so those questions are now gone. The question I have remaining is about the middle school. I was very surprised to see that the middle school's total for work was 10%, less than 10%. Of what is happening in the rest of the district, which leaves me with a concern that the middle school is being left out of what I would imagine are probably some essential things. I think I heard HVAC is coming, but it just seems so disproportionate, and maybe that's just how it looks, but it feels disproportionate, and I just wanted to kind of discuss that.
Sure.
Or get more information about that.
Yeah, so over the course of the last couple of years, the middle schools had inwards of around $2 million allocated through Measure D to the reprioritization list of projects. And as you mentioned, and Dustin and Cody mentioned, there is an HVAC project to remove and replace all of the existing mechanical units, which came in around 3.4 million. If you want to. Okay, which came in around 3.4 million.
Okay.
And really the focus right now, that was not one of the prior Measure D projects on the reprioritization list. It was a project that was identified during the facilities master plan. So the thought process was, and then I'll hand it over to Dustin, was to finish out Measure D and then program the mechanical project into Measure B when we release those funds. And we actually plan to do a series release. Well, I'm doing a series release. This district will for Measure D, the final series release in October. But in October of 2026 would be our first Measure B series release. And we would like to, that's one of the projects that will be at the forefront of that priority list for 26-27 with the release of Measure B. So,
Yeah, I'll add that the HVAC unit project was on the list. And as we dug in a little further into that scope, the lead time to get all those package units here by summertime and installed over the summer break wasn't going to happen. So there's long leads on those custom units and there's like, I think 17 of them or something. So that and the budget and trying to fit everything under Measure D, we said let's put it on the forefront of Measure B and get started on the planning, but give ourselves a little more time and do it in summer of 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That helps. This is going to be a little specific, but when it comes to, I understand, building envelope and all of that, taking care of electrical and safety. And one of my questions revolves around bathrooms. So I happened to be at Robert Down today, and I cruised by down the hallway and the boys' bathroom doors open, and I looked over and the rest in the bathrooms. And I can imagine that it's not just in that boys' bathroom, that perhaps it's at the middle school and perhaps it's at the high school. But these are areas that our kids frequent every day. And to me, I look at those and I think, can we just throw a little bit of money that way as well, so that our children are walking into restrooms that don't have rust and dilapidating dividers and things like that? I don't know what the ladies' bathrooms look like.
For sure. The master plan has all the restrooms being replaced as a priority 2 project. So that would come in November on the list of what's it going to take to overhaul the bathrooms. I think John Anderson has done a good job thus far on taking on a lot of the restrooms throughout the district. So that's a good start. And then the other part about restrooms is they're a major ADA component. So when we talk about priority 1 and 2 projects tackling ADA, the restrooms are the first thing that they look at.
I saw that at Forest Grove.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
And by the way, we have the managing partner with DCA, Juan Barroso, is here. So if you have any specific architect questions, I have to be careful about acting as the architect because coming from my background, what I wanted to say is anytime you do a DSA project, no matter what you're doing, one of the things that DSA looks at is, do you have a path of travel to the ADA parking stalls? Do you have a path of travel to the public right of way? And do you have a path of travel to the nearest restrooms? And so even though I just sort of talked about a kind of high level scope of work, we will have to make sure that one set of each of those items is upgraded as part of summer 2026. So we can address at least one set as part of the project next summer. But to your point, that's something we'll consider for future bond projects for all of the restrooms.
Thank you for that. And this just came up because, truly today I walked by and I thought, and it's on the agenda. So why not bring it up? Thank you very much for that. That's all I have.
Trustee Shamalis?
Yeah. On the middle school, I just noticed too the other day that the fence on the backside of the maintenance yard as you come around here on the Hillcrest and I forget what street this is back there, Carmel, is very dilapidated. And I don't know if that's on the radar anywhere because it's not obviously student related, it doesn't look student related, but it is our property. And I'm just pointing that out. That's there. And then for the ADA, okay, so finally we're getting ADA access down to the high school baseball field. However, there's also the high school has the JV field. This is adjacent to the baseball field, and it has no ADA access whatsoever. When people use that JV field, they will go down the Forest Grove area, that asphalt from the parking lot down that goes to the backside of Forest Grove. They'll go down there, and there's this ancient stairway that goes down to the JV field. You know where that I'm talking about? So there's that nobody really uses. They kind of come down the asphalt and then kind of work around to, because there are bleachers there. So that's something I think that should be addressed, because that field is used. It's not used. So it's used, and I didn't see any plan for that. The other thing I have is on 17 Mile Drive at the adult school. And you talked about you're going to install a fence and gate there into the parking lot, which is good. And I brought this up with, Barbara's already gone, but I brought it up with her a few years ago when I was taking my grandson over there. And I wish Chief Day was here, because the speed limit on that block is 30 miles an hour. And it shouldn't be, because of the turn into a school. And so anyway, I think we need to yes. And then the last thing is, okay, I'd like to hear more about, of course, like I brought up before, the cost benefit of moving community high school. Because I was on the board when we moved community high school from this site right here, which was horrible, over there. And so I love that site. I mean, I can agree that there are, it's an old site, but the site itself is beautiful where they are. They have that garden, they have a field, they could use like a basketball court, I guess, but they do, it's just a beautiful little site. And I just always felt like it matched the students that go there. The lighthouse site, and now I'm just talking about situational right now. Okay, so the lighthouse site to me is problematic in that it's crowded, and you would not have the same amount of space that you have over at David Avenue. There's no way you won't have the same amount of parking, and you won't have the same amount of outdoor space that they currently have. So that's just my concerns. I would like to see what you're talking about in terms of why you are looking at the pricing or the financial advantages of moving it, but that's where I am.
Trustee Wax?
So I was curious about kind of the paths of travel. The areas that are yellowed and kind of planned, does that mean everywhere else on Forest Grove, for example, has an ADA compliant path of travel, like between the buildings, as opposed to just the parking lot to the back?
I think specific to Forest Grove, we're covering all the path of travel at that site with this project.
Well, I mean, but there are walkways between the buildings. Those are compliant.
Yeah, those
already.
are compliant. Those are already level.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then I asked a couple of questions before to the staff, but I guess just for clarification, the fire alarm replacement is under DSA for review, but is it not operational right now, or like what is the reason for fixing or upgrading it? Is it?
It's Johnson, you gotta come. Yeah.
The fire alarm is fully functional, however, it is dated and obsolete. And therefore, when we call out somebody to make repairs, they no longer stock parts for it. And it's also a proprietary system. So the design is to replace it with a non-proprietary system. So anybody could fix it and we could readily get parts for it. And it just needs to be updated. It's way outdated. We're also going to start replacing all the fire alarm panels and upgrading them to where they work on a cellular And we're getting off what's called POTS, plain old telephone system, because AT&T is going out the window and it's a requirement now. And so we're just upgrading it to make it safer for our students.
Okay, thanks. And then similar question to the Forest Grove site, the PG adult path of travel that was outlined or highlighted everywhere else is compliant, ADA compliant?
So the adult school, we're focused on the backside that's adjacent to the main parking lot. We're gonna pull up slide and get the clicker out. But this quick start project will not cover all of the ADA need at the adult school. We'll have additional priority one projects on our list that we'll bring in November that complete the need for ADA. Did I miss it? Sorry. Okay, so right here, we'll have to address ADA, and that's kind of part of this consideration of the new site over here. And then there's a parking project being discussed out front, which would the ADA would be part of the parking project up front here. So we're just targeting this backside when we do this parking lot as part of the quick start job.
Okay. Okay. And then I guess I'm still confused. I asked about this too, but again, for clarification, on the quick start list, I don't think it lists the amphitheater seating for Forest Grove.
It's under MD 76 right here. It might not specifically listed in there, but it's part of that scope.
Well, okay. I guess it just seems like shouldn't it be clear, I guess, if it's in the master project list.
These descriptions are general in nature, so the specifics we're not going to populate all the specifics on the item, but
I think that what might bring further clarity, I know this item's ahead of the other item, but when we're bringing forward Amendment 2 from the architect of record, there's very specific detail associated with the design components for each one of these projects. So as Dustin mentioned, MD 76, 2.6 million, that's for ADA and site improvements. It's classified, it's lumped under one category for construction costs. But when you're looking at the design components, when we get to that item, you'll see there's actually there's a photograph that shows conceptual locations from the design team, which is a separate item, but they do pair with these project expenditures.
Okay. Okay. And then, yes, I second Ms. Gruber's thoughts on paving over the sandbox. Hopefully something could be done there that's possibly a little more creative. And thanks.
Okay.
Let's get more.
So talking about the paving over of the sandbox, this is being approved tonight, correct?
Yeah, it is. But you're also approving, there's a contingency fund built in, right? So the paving over of the sandbox is because we need an accessible path of travel to the second level. And that's the area that we're going to put in the handicap accessible ramp. That doesn't necessarily mean that we aren't looking at additional play equipment or a sandbox on that campus. I see Juan nodding his head over there. So that's why we do have a project contingency built in, certainly. And that was something that was brought up from the site prior to the board meeting. We had not looked at it conceptually yet.
Okay.
But it's being addressed under the design team's proposal.
And I guess along with that would, for me, come timing, because if it's being paved over in the summer, then in the following year, you have a group of kiddos that doesn't have play equipment or a sandbox or whatever. So now you've got a year where they're without that important play. So is that something that I would be hesitant to approve paving over of a sandbox unless there was something going in during the summer to help accommodate for those.
Yeah, we could incorporate a sandbox. I think that the initial concern was from the site, a sandbox is very easy to put in.
Okay.
The concern from the site was, if not a sandbox, what else could we be looking at as an additional play structure on the campus? We are installing new play structures down in the TK Kinder area, but not up on the first through fifth area. So the relocation of the sandbox, that's very simple. That's something that we can incorporate into the design, if that's what the board's directing us to do. We did hear this from the site already, that they would like us to relocate the sandbox, but the location of the current sandbox, it does need to be moved because that's where we're going to put in the accessible path of travel to second level.
Okay, cool.
And there is money built in. I'm sorry, Mark.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say, and to be clear, I mean, I'm not trying to dictate what happens on the Forest Grove campus. I'm just saying, just the importance of play is, I want to make sure that kids aren't missing a year of that type of play for, instead of, and they're getting tables. Or I guess I could play on the tables, but I don't know how that works. That's
Your mic's off, trustee Wax. Your microphone.
Oh, I turned it off. It was off. Okay. Sort of along the same lines. Oh man, I'm getting old. The Robert Down app, the part that had a portable, I think.
Yeah, there was a portable on the west side of the playground there.
Yeah. Oh, playground paving, a portable. Meet the cap requirements. Is there any? It has to be a hardscape pavement is the cap, or there's nothing, no other way to remedy that kind of square.
Nice. I can take it.
You want to take it?
Yeah. So at Robert Down, we removed the portable because there was actually and I'm short of the term, but basically there was a fungus in the ground that was eating the building. And that's what it is. Okay. And we're required to put in a cap to mitigate that moving forward. There has been a discussion, and in the facilities master plan, there is programming for that space on the campus, but we're not addressing that right now. That's something that will be addressed through the subcommittee as a priority 3 project. So right now, the simple solution is to install asphalt, which is a very, very minimal cost to provide the cap so that it's a safe area for students to be on the campus. And it's going to be just a simple extension of a play area, with the understanding that there is future use that's been identified in the facilities master plan for that area where the 2 additional portables remain. But that's something we'll address under Measure B after we pursue that discussion with our subcommittee.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, with that, if there's no more other comments, I think this is the time where we would take a motion. If anyone would like to make a motion to approve this quick start list.
also moved.
Okay, motion made by trustee Otmar. Could I get a second?
I second.
Okay, made by trustee Otmar, seconded by trustee Wax. Student trustee vote.
Yay.
Okay, all in favor of agreeing with the student trustee? Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? If not, that passes 4-0. Do we want to, thank you so much. Do we want to go what? Okay, let's take a quick 5-minute break or get back here at 8:55 for remaining items. Thanks. No, it's all of us. I will remind folks, we have 13 items left to go in an hour. So not to say I'm trying to squash discussion, but let's try to be as, efficient and targeted as possible so that we can get home before tomorrow. Item C is Assistant Superintendent Joran's item.
Thank you, President Dr. Hazen. So we sort of teed this up in the last discussion related to the bond program quick start list. We do have DCA Architects who was awarded the contract of the architect of record for our district for our bond program. Under the initial award of their contract, they submitted an amendment. That amendment was for scope of work, design work associated with program related costs, not project related costs. What you saw tonight in the presentation was projects, and we need project related design professionals to carry those out through the Division of State Architect approvals process. So what we're bringing forward tonight is the amendment number 1 is being voided because there is no program associated design fees yet. And we're bringing forward amendment 2, which was included in the packet, for approval tonight. And Amendment 2 includes all of the design associated costs that we covered with the Quick Start project list in the prior item. And in the essence of time, I'm going to pause right there. And our architect of record, Juan Barroso, is here, and he can certainly field any substantive questions we have related to his proposal and Amendment 2.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns from the public? First of all, anyone here in the room or anyone online that would like to speak on this item? Okay, if not, I'll look to the board. See if there's anyone that has any comments on this. I have just one really quick one. Is this also just like the previous one going under the measure D bond? Yeah,
that's correct.
That was my only question. Anyone else? Seeing none, can I get a motion on this item from anyone? If not, I'll go ahead and make a motion. We approve item C, the contract with Derby Castellanos amendment. Can I get a second?
Oh, second.
Okay. Motion made by myself, seconded by trustee Wax. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, if not, we're on to item D, the declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Chief.
Good evening, trustees. Buck Rogeman, the Chief Human Resources Officer for PGUSD. And I'm bringing before you an item that comes to you every year. And this is the Declaration of Need for Highly Qualified Educators. This is a form that gets submitted to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing so that all of our hires are lawful. And so as you go to review the document that came with this board cover page, you're going to notice that there are 3 listed for CLAD, which is the cross-cultural language acquisition certification. And we leave 3 on there in case we hire someone from out of state that needs to get an emergency CLAD when they come to our district. And then our district requires that person to go through the CLAD training process so they get the certification. You'll notice that we also have 1 resource specialist listed. We always do that just in case we have a special education position that comes open in the district so that we can broaden the applicant pool if necessary in order to find someone to fill that role. We have 1 multiple subject listed. That's also kind of a safety net in case we had an opening occur in grades TK through 5 and also 6th grade at the middle school. We have the ability to hire someone with multiple subjects. Then we have 2 single subject listed, and those are part of the table below. You see 1 listed in music and 1 in social science. The social science is because we have someone currently working on an intern credential, and the music is we wanted to make sure that we were able to broaden the pool for the instrumental music teacher at the elementary school. And so what we're asking the board is to approve this so we can send this form on to the CTC so that we can lawfully hire teachers if we need to get them on a temporary teaching permit.
Perfect. We now go out to public comment, and thank you, Chief Rogeman. Is there anyone in the public, online or in the room that would like to speak on this item? If not, I'm going to steer towards the board and see if anyone would like to say again, something we see annually. Could I get a motion to approve this?
I'll move to approve.
In a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by trustee Otmar and seconded by trustee Shamas. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unopposed, passes 4-0. So now we're on to the MOU toileting stipend with CSEA.
Correct. This is a stipend that we have negotiated with the CSEA so we could identify people in the instructional support family that would assist our children who are toilet learning. As we've expanded the age group that is attending the transitional kindergarten program, that we found that we have a greater need for students that haven't quite reached the phase of child development where they're able to toilet themselves. And so this would identify specific staff members who would be compensated for helping the children with their toileting needs. The stipend would be $200 a month. There would be three that would be allocated to Robert Down and three that would also be allocated to Forest Grove. So if all three of those were filled, then the fiscal impact would be around $16,530. And the reason why it's not a nice round number is because that includes the statutory benefits as well.
Okay, now this is the time we open up to public comment. Anyone either in the room or online? Seeing none, I'll look over to the board. Yes, please, Trustee Otmar.
So you had made the comment, if all the positions are filled, do we anticipate that those positions will be filled? And if not, where does that responsibility lie? Would that be with the teacher or aide?
One of the things that you'll see in the MOU is that there's also kind of establishes a hierarchy of who will assist with a child's toileting needs. And so first would be the volunteer that's assigned to a classroom. Then it would be a volunteer that's assigned to a different classroom. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be someone that is in the same classroom. After that, then the responsibility goes to the health assistant, or after that, it's a paraprofessional that is on campus now. So currently, that's the way it's being handled at our sites. It's the health care assistant, or it's the professional that's assisting with these needs. This is going to broaden the pool of people that can help, and also put that help in closer proximity to the students who need the help.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess that the answer to the question, though, is we don't know if all three are going to be filled. But if we fill one or two, it's going to be more people than we have now.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad it's here, and I'm glad that we're offering this because it's needed. Thank you.
It's just for this year, right? And then you would do this again for next year as needed.
Yes, so this is going to allow us to offer that stipend so that people will be compensated for this work, and then it also gives us a reliable pool of people to help with the toileting needs.
But it's just for this year.
Well, this one is for this year, and then we'll work at the negotiating table and decide if it's something that we need to negotiate into the contract, or if it's something that we can do year after year.
Okay, thank you.
Not seeing any other comments. Would anyone like to make a motion on this item?
Move to approve.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second that. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? If not, it passes 4-0. Thank you. And now we're on to Assistant Superintendent Joran.
Thank you, President Dr. Hazen. So tonight in front of you, we have an updated expenditure plan for Resource 6770. This is formerly Proposition 28, the Arts and Music Program. We did bring an entire plan to the board for approval as a requirement of receipt of our apportionment. We did that in 2023-24 for receipt of funds in 24-25. I'm bringing this forward tonight for the ongoing plan associated with the music arts the music program 6770 resource. I'm conflating the two because the next item is also another expenditure plan. But this really helps us now clearly define how this money is going to be utilized, and it helps us with this reporting to the California Department of Education. As you can see on page 235, you can see how we break out the allocation, and just so the board is aware, the allocation of both Prop 28, 6770 and the future item I'm going to be discussing is done by pupil, by ADA. So the allocation is per site, per pupil.
I'll now open this up for any public comment. Anyone in the room or online? Seeing none, I'll look back to the board. No comments from me because this is a updated spending plan, but anyone else? Seeing none, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the updated expenditure plan item F.
I'll second.
Motion made by myself, seconded by Trustee Otmar. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? If not, that passes 4-0. We might make it through before midnight after all. Thank you all. Item G, updated expenditure plan 6762. Assistant Superintendent Joran.
Thank you. This is Resource 6762. This is the music arts discretionary block grant. The board approved the receipt of funds back in 2021-22. We've had this block grant for some time now. They approved a spending plan. We are in the final year of the expenditure plan associated with this block grant. At the end of this fiscal year, 25-26, this resource will expire, meaning that we need a final approval of the allocation for this year. You can see that that's been included on page 238. Shows we actually show you the allocation as it continued throughout the years, leaving us with the 414,519 left for 25-26, and that was really the carry forward from last year. We have allocated those funds this year and broken it down on page 238 for you per site as well. And as you can see, it's pretty much equal per site, except for the district-wide, which is the final year of the allocation for this discretionary block grant is funding 1.0 FTE for the mental health therapist. I'll open it for questions.
Now go out to public comment. Anyone in the room or anyone online? Seeing none, I'm looking back to the board, see if there's any questions about this item. Okay, trustee Schmaus.
So I see the athletic departments at the high school and middle school are receiving some of this money. So that offsets what the athletic departments get already.
It does, and so the athletic apportionment within this program for the middle school and the high school was already kind of a previously approved board item. There was just, I would say, like they deferred the purchasing of certain items because they had items that weren't necessarily end of useful life yet. So that's why you're seeing kind of more of it lumped into the end of the program. So it's supplementing the athletic program, yes.
So since this is the last year of this, will we be able to apply for another grant, or it's unnerving when you start to depend on those, even though it's not huge, but it's enough that you start to depend on it.
Yeah, no, this was a $1 million block grant that we received, and there is no additional discretionary block grant that I'm aware of on the horizon through CDE or through the legislature right now.
I will go ahead and make a motion, if I don't see anyone else grabbing, that we approve this as presented, the spend plan. Motion made by myself, seconded by trustee Wax, and all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? It passes 4-0. So now we're on to unaudited actuals, which we'll deal with where we're at for the school year.
Wait for Lewis to pop it up. So the information is crucial for the understanding of our district's current financial standing and preparation for the upcoming fiscal year. This is the closeout of our 24-25 fiscal year. Tonight, I'm going to go through key details and numbers to give the audience a comprehensive understanding of the district's financial situation. I would like to click. There we go. I'd like to start by acknowledging the incredible work of our business office team led by our amazing fiscal officer, Carly Adams, Phyllis Lewis, who now is no longer with us within the district, but she put a lot of time into this in accounts payable, Christina in payroll and benefits, and Carrie, my executive admin assistant. Their invaluable support through this process would not get us to this point. When the school site shut down over the summer, we are in the process of closing the books, beginning unaudited actuals. It is a massive lift over the summer, and there's a lot of work that goes into this, the preparation for this this evening, as well as the closeout of the 24-25 fiscal year. Let's see, next slide. So here's the annual budget cycle. You've seen this before. I present this at first and second interim, as well as budget revision. You can see June 2025, the district adopted budget was adopted, which is the first part of this reporting cycle. The presentation that we're focusing on tonight, which is bolded on the right-hand side, is our report number 2. That is the unaudited actuals for 24-25. The next report in the cycle is our first interim, which I will bring to the board. Oops, sorry, I did gloss over. The next report is statutorily required is first interim. However, we do bring forward a budget revision. It's not on this timeline because it's not a statutory obligation. But we do bring forward a budget revision in October every single year, which you will be seeing at the October 3rd board meeting prior to first interim. First interim is all financials reported through October 31st, which we bring to the board in December. And then there we go. The cycle repeats after second interim and the budget hearing. Next slide. Right here, we've summarized the district general fund summary for 24-25 fiscal year. We show the beginning balances and operating results. The unrestricted general fund, the unrestricted beginning balance, as you can see, is $5,462,66. And I'll start to round as I get through the presentation because I start rambling numbers off and people tend to gloss over. Apologize for that. The restricted beginning balance that you can see is just over 3.2 million with a total of just over 8.7 million at the beginning. The district did realize an unrestricted deficit of 577,000 and a restricted deficit of just under 900,000, which results in a net operational deficit there in the red of just under 1.5 million. It's important to highlight the significant deficits in both unrestricted and restricted funds and the need to address this in subsequent fiscal years, as this is a trend in our multi-year projections, which you've seen at the adopted budget. The deficit's now accounted for 24-25 ending balances and the new beginning balance, which roll forward, and I will present as mentioned at Budget Revision 1 in October. Next slide, Lewis. Here you can see some changes with the general fund combined revenue and expenditures. The 24-25 net revenues were understated. That's the column on the left. They were understated by around 2% over the projected budget. The additional revenue yields an increase of over budget of around 920,000. That additional 920,000 includes a couple of parts. Number one being 406,295 is attributed to prior year and delinquent property tax receipts. And I will note, as I've said this throughout the years, we just do not budget for this in our adopted budget because at times it can be zero. So it's really good to not budget for it. It's not a surprise, though, when we see an increased revenue in this line. And I want to be clear that it's not additional tax revenue. It's prior year tax receipts or delinquent tax receipts. So it's not an increase to that 5% that I say year over that we receive in property tax revenue. The understated revenue can also be attributed to an increase of 285,000 in local restricted revenues, and that's primarily from our Medi-Cal reimbursements. And we did have a MIRMA dividend payment this last year in 24-25. And what that means is we pay into MIRMA, the district does, as a percentage for MIRMA covers as our risk management. And when you pay in, sometimes you have a dividend, and MIRMA has to pay the districts back that dividend. So this district received a dividend last year. This is our second year receiving a dividend from MIRMA, but that does contribute to the increased revenue overall. And finally, we did have an increase in state lottery, investment interest, and tuition reimbursements of 228,875, which again totals are 920,496 in new revenue. 24-25 expenditures were overstated. That's on the column on the right-hand side by around 1.2%. This is driven in two parts, really. Number one, we had understated expenditures in classified salary, health, welfare benefits, where classified salaries were higher due to position alignment, overtime, and increased paraprofessional support. And our health and welfare costs increased due to prior year retroactive payments to MCSIG, and we're all aware of the MCSIG payment. Part two, however, is services and other operating expenditures were overstated in the adopted budget, and actuals came in much lower. Overall, our actual expenditures came in 418,000 lower than budgeted, resulting in a 98% budget to actual alignment. This means the district's budgeting process operated within a 2% margin of error, which is pretty precise. Next slide. This is, you can see our components of ending fund balance. It shows the, for 24-25, the largest component of ending fund balance is our restricted basic aid reserve, but we have a large restricted carryover. That's just over 2.3 million. That's restricted revenues that were unspent last year. So we had budgeted for expenditures and we just didn't realize those expenditures. So we're carrying forward restricted beginning balances. We just approved an expenditure plan, which was for 6762 music arts discretionary. That's an example of a carry forward restricted balance. The district also has reserves set aside for maintenance, STRS and PERS increases, and mandated reserve for economic uncertainty, which is 3%. In total, the district's now projecting for 24-25 an ending fund balance of just over 7.2 million, which represents a 9.5% reserve balance, up from the 8.8% projected at second interim. I may add that the 25-26 adopted budget maintains deficit spending on the unrestricted and restricted side, further projecting a reduced a reserve of 7.8% for this year, 25-26. I will, however, update at the October revision. Once we posted beginning fund balances, I will update the reserves, which most likely will go up from 7.8%. I just don't have that data at this point in time. I'll pause right there before I continue. Okay, looking at the board, I thought I saw a question. Okay, next slide. Object 3000s. This is health and welfare. The key findings on this slide were that we had an increase of just over 377,000 from second interim budget in health and welfare. The increase was attributed to two things: retiree health and welfare benefits and the retroactive payment to MCSIG, which I highlighted earlier. The 2025-26 budget uses MCSIG census data to build a budget in the OPEB category, that's other post-employment benefits category, to help offset these increased expenditures with received revenues. Next slide. Here you'll see the 4000s, which is books and supplies, and what you'll see is a decrease of 10% in books and supplies from second interim. The decrease is due to restricted expenditure actuals being lower than the original budget, which I've mentioned before. This is kind of something we tend to see at the end. Restricted revenue can be used for specific restricted expenditures, and the lower actuals simply mean the district doesn't need to spend as much money in that fiscal year and may spend those dollars in the out year. Next slide. The snapshot of the 5000s, this is our services and other. You'll see a 4% increase from second interim. This is a minor increase, and it was due to the budgeted restricted expenditures in this area of professional consulting services being higher. The increase in restricted expenditures is matched by restricted revenue. Again, you're hearing the trend about restricted revenue and carry forward. All right, slide 9. Here we have combined Fund 11, Adult Education, and Fund 12. Adult Education had a total revenues of just over 2.8 million and expenditures of just over 3.3 million, which resulted in an operational deficit of just over 450,000. The ending fund balance for adult ed is 2.3 million. And just to highlight again, we're attempting to spend those reserves down in Fund 11. It's one of those kind of nice situations we have, which is we've had surplus in Fund 11 over the years, reserves built up, but because we're part of a consortium, you can only carry a certain percentage of those reserves. So the deficit spending is planned for Fund 11. Child Development Fund 12, this accounts for, it's on the right-hand side there, accounts for our state preschool and BASRP Monarch Club program. The Child Development Fund had total revenues of just over 480,000 and total expenditures of just over 570,000, resulting in an operational deficit of just over 90,000. The ending fund balance for Child Development Fund 12 is 151,113 at 24-25 unaudited actuals. And to highlight, when we did budget planning this year, we had anticipated for 25-26 the full depletion of this fund down to zero and the potential 25-26 unrestricted general fund contribution. When we update the budget revision number 1, I will address that at that point in time because we did not anticipate a carry forward balance in Fund 12. So it's good news. Next slide. Here we have Fund 13, our cafeteria fund, and Fund 14, which is deferred maintenance. Fund 13 had total revenues of just over 1.5, just under 1.6 million, and total expenditures of just over 1.4, resulting in an operational surplus of 171,000. The ending fund balance for the cafeteria fund is just over 1.3, as you can see there. One thing to note, as you walked in, you saw the wonderful food trucks for satellite operations at our high school and middle school. We are planning, just like we did in Fund 11, to attempt the deficit spend. We didn't do so well at that this year with a small operational surplus, but we're in a spending plan with California Department of Education to spend down those reserves for cafeteria fund. And I'd really love to commend Director Silvera. He's just doing an outstanding job, and his team to deliver food to our kids that they just love, and expanding the menu and expanding service locations. And I just think it needs to be highlighted this evening, what he's been doing. Deferred Maintenance Fund, Fund 14, total revenue just over 409,000. and total expenditures of around 123,000, which resulted in a net operating surplus of just over 280,000. As you can see here, we've been building up an ending fund balance just now at 823,356. This is really attributed to the board's commitment to utilizing the general fund to continue that $200,000 general fund contribution to build up deferred maintenance. When I first started here, Fund 14 had less than 60,000 in it. So very important that we're leaning on deferred maintenance for deferred maintenance items as we move forward instead of relying upon general obligation bonds. Next slide. Okay, here we have post-employment benefits, Fund 20. I always have to report on it, and every single time I do, I tell you there's been no change because we just cannot move the money out of here. So you will see an ending fund balance is projected at $6,846 with no revenue and no expenditures. Fund 21, this is our building fund. This houses all of our general obligation bonds, Measure A, Measure D. It will house Measure B in the future. Let's see. Total revenue for this fund is 8.9 million with total expenditures of just over 5 million, resulting in a surplus of just over 3.9 million. The ending fund balance for the building fund is projected at 6.3. And when we went over the quick start projects tonight and we incorporated the quick start projects action item, we're building in the fact that we have a beginning balance from prior year series sales. And I might add that in the note in the bottom, the district will be bringing back in October the final series release for Measure D, so that we Measure D, Series D, which will complete the entire Measure D program. Also, I'd like to mention that in October, we're bringing forward Measure A for Series E release, and Measure A, of course, is our tech bond, but that is also due for a series release. So the board will see in October Measure D, Series D, and Measure A, Series E. Both are where we receive both of those are where we're reflective of the revenue that you see in the building fund 21. Okay, next slide. Fund 25, that's our developer fee fund, which was established about a year and a half ago by this board, where we levy developer fees on development and projects in our boundary area. The developer fee fund had total revenues this past year of 178,955. That's about 3 times higher than the prior year when we established the fund. And we currently have no planned expenditures for 24-25 or for 25-26. The intent was to continue to build up the revenue in the developer fee fund and then bring back to the board a spending plan or an expenditure plan for how to pair those dollars with other programs like the general obligation bond program or deferred maintenance program. You can see on the right-hand side, that's Fund 40. That's our capital outlay projects fund. This accounts for revenues primarily from David Avenue school campus lease and our facility use fees. Total revenues for this fund were just over 545,000, which does include the $200,000 general fund contribution. With an operating, we did have expenditures though of 683,812, with an operational deficit of 138,293. And it's important to note that the board directed staff to eliminate the general fund contribution in 25-26, which is built into the adopted budget. So the revenue received in this fund will then move back to only receipt of funds from the lease of the David Avenue campus and facility use fees. Next slide. Getting to the end. 2024-25 unaudited actuals for PGUSD demonstrates strong financial management and resilience in times where restricted resources are expiring and costs are increasing year over year. Despite a net operating deficit in the general fund, revenue growth in the certain areas has positioned the district for long-term stability with better reserves than anticipated. The district maintains a 9.5% reserve balance exceeding the state requirements of 3% and ensuring fiscal resilience in subsequent years. Significant decreases in spending of books and supplies and services reflect efficient spending and a potential for carry forward balances of our restricted funds in the next fiscal year. While some funds saw deficits, others like the cafeteria fund and the deferred maintenance fund had strong surpluses. The 24-25 actuals reflect PGUSD's commitment to a fiscal responsibility and adaptive financial planning. I now bring this forward to the board for approval of the 24-25 unaudited actuals so that we can meet our statutory obligation of certifying our 24-25 unaudited actuals to the County Office of Education prior to September 15th.
Thank you so much. Do we have anyone from the public, either here in the room or online, that would like to comment on our unaudited actuals? Seeing none, I will look to the board and thank Assistant Superintendent Joran again for such a great presentation here. I'm very happy with the reserve number. That's a lot better than we were anticipating, and I thank everyone in the district that has contributed to that being the case. And just want to mention, one thing, not for this item, but looking forward to the first interim, if our reserve is predicted to drop more, I would love to see some scenarios about cost recovery, such as you mentioned the deferred maintenance, 200K, just things that we might need to do in addition to the block grant potentially being spent out. So that's my little comment on that. Anyone else from the board? Yes, please, Trustee Otmar.
I just wanted to say thank you for that. Also, brother, you make budgeting totally palatable. So thank you for everything. I mean, this is great. And your staff as well. I mean, that's it. I think you're great.
Yes, thank you. And I appreciate you thanking your staff because I think that Linda should give them certificates and we should take a picture with them.
Facing.
Because these are the people that we don't see and, we don't always hear the nitty gritty of what they really contribute to making everything work. So appreciate that. On the Fund 12, I know that I think you already told us why we had a little deficit on that. Was it because of the before and after school program? It's not generating enough. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then on Fund 25, or the developer fees, I'm thinking that because you mentioned that at some point make a decision on where you want to move those funds. And I'm wondering if that would be something the budget committee would want to talk about or make a recommendation. Because at what point do you say, okay, let's do it. So having some kind of an idea of where you want to go with that. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Second the thank yous and yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we need a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Motion made by Trustee Otmar and seconded by
second.
Trustee Shamas. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. It passes 4-0. Now we have the GAN limit calculations, more fun numbers from Assistant Superintendent.
Yeah, and I won't go into a substantive presentation. This is really kind of a formality that we bring forward every single year that the district meets or exceeds the GAN limit as required by state law. And that's really all I'm bringing forward tonight. I have the backup data, which is one of our SACS forms on page 365. But essentially, yes, under Proposition 4, we have to guarantee annually that we're meeting or exceeding the GAN limit, and we are. So we just need the board's approval on that this evening.
Anyone from the public like to learn more about GAN limits at 9:34 p.m.? Not seeing anyone jumping to the mic, so I'll look back to the board. Seeing nothing, I think it is time for motion, so I'll make a motion to approve our GAN limits.
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Otmar. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? If not, it passes 4-0. So now we're on to the classification and compensation study facilitator, Chief Rogaman.
Excuse me for a minute, but don't you have to say approval of resolution 1163? I mean, I think you do.
Oh, we've now voted. You mean to
Over the GAN limit. I think you have to formally say that.
Okay, we have now approved resolution 1163 for the GAN limit calculations for the
Yeah,
24.
I second that.
Okay.
Now call for a
Okay.
vote.
Okay, roll call vote. Sorry. It's not on my.
President Hazen,
Yes.
Trustee Otmar,
Yes.
Trustee Shamas.
Yes.
Trustee Wax.
Thank you. We'll have to all sign everything too, by the way, as well. So now we're on to Chief Rogaman. Thanks for that catch.
The short-term assignment for classified and compensation study facilitator. As you are aware, the district is going to embark on the first year of a 4-year classification and compensation study with our Classified School Employees Association. And this first year, we're going to be looking at the clerical and the food service jobs. And because this is the first time that we're going through this process, it's going to be very helpful for the district and for CSEA really to have someone who has been through this process multiple times lead the district and CSEA in the various steps that it takes to put together a really thorough and competent and efficient classification and compensation study. Valerie Davis has led these classification and compensation studies both at the county level and with local districts. And the compensation rate is that of a year one director. So the hourly rate comes out to $64.38, and the estimate of the hours that she'll be working is at like 100. And we think that is going to be on the higher end. So we expect to come in under or at that 100-hour contract. And she'll be working in a short-term assignment. And because she is a retired annuitant, the district is going to establish a salary schedule for this position so that all the statutory benefits and everything that go along with the position can be properly accounted for.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Do we have anyone from the public that has a question or comment on this item? None. I look back to the board. Nothing for me. I know this is something we need to do.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a comment.
Yes.
It says that we've never done this before, but I believe we did. And I believe we did it with Valerie Davis back in my day.
I can ask Valerie. Based on the job descriptions that we have.
Yeah, not to say that we shouldn't do it again.
Right.
I'm just saying, I'm just reacting to.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we did it. Because Jesse and I were on that team with them.
Okay.
And Valerie Davis, I mean, you can't get better than that.
Right.
So.
Great.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion, Trustee Schultz? Just guessing.
All right. I move that we approve the short-term position for classification and compensation study facilitator.
Excellent. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. It passes 4-0. We have our proposed board meeting calendar, wrapping up our action items.
Well, absolutely. And you have the dates in front of you. And I believe that we do have dates for the January through June of the 2026 included in there. Let me just verify quickly. Sorry. Yes, yeah, they are there. Yes, that's what we are approving.
We now go out to the public. If anyone would like to comment on the calendar and proposed board meetings. Seeing none, I look back to the board and see if there's. I notice we have a governance coming up on September 18th. That's something we
That
will.
is correct, yes. And remember, there is some reading for that. So we will send a reminder specific to that. And I think the other item we will have on that special meeting is just the part 2 of the CSBA policies, because there were so many of them. We broke it up into 2. Yes, you recall that, I think, very well, Trustee Moss.
Any board comment on the calendar? October looks even longer than today. If not, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the board calendar as presented. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by myself, seconded by Trustee Wax. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. That passes 4-0. So now we're on to info discussion. Item B, the district subcommittees.
Well, if you haven't gotten tired of my voice yet, here we go again. I'm gonna have Lewis pull up the slides here. We did combine our facilities and budget advisory subcommittee into one information item. We'll start with, go ahead and move to the next slide, Lewis. The facility subcommittee is designed as an advisory body that provides transparency, accountability, and community engagement for the district's general obligation bond program. The subcommittee focuses on guiding the prioritization and implementation of our priority 3 projects from the PGUSD facilities master plan. The key areas of focus are educational adequacy. Next slide, I'm sorry. There we go. Educational adequacy, modernization, long-term campus enhancements, and collaborative group work. The collaborative group will work closely with the superintendent and the Board of Education to ensure the bond program is implemented effectively. The subcommittee plays a crucial role in aligning the bond projects with the district's educational priority and community needs. The subcommittee's diverse representation, as you can see on this slide, represents all stakeholders included, such as school district leadership, school district representatives, staff associations, parent representatives, and the Board of Education trustees. The committee will meet quarterly during the 25-26 school year in October, December, February, and April. After each quarterly meeting, the staff, myself, will deliver reports to the Board of Education to keep them informed of the committee's work and progress. Next slide. Some of the goals and responsibilities for this facilities committee include promoting, of course, transparency and support to equity align our projects with educational needs and prioritize impactful initiatives. We'll focus on long-term projects that improve facilities across areas like administration, athletics, performing arts, landscaping, and modernization, just to be some examples. All discussions will consider instructional relevance, student access and equity, safety, ADA compliance, and support for specialized programs. Regular communication and open processes will ensure stakeholder engagement and transparency throughout the bond program implementation. Our aim is to advocate for equitable investment in our facilities and to ensure projects enhance student access and learning. We will work to align bond-funded projects with the 21st century educational programming and instructional needs. In the prioritizing of projects, we will review and advise on phasing based on educational impact and community value. Next slide. This subcommittee will focus on one signature project per site as identified in the facilities master plan and the bond project list. At the elementary schools, these are just some examples. The elementary schools, we could look at modernizing of the multipurpose rooms with AV, acoustics, lighting, and climate control upgrades. Robert Down, of course, the auditorium, Forest Grove's multipurpose is listed up there, just as a couple of projects, and these are all listed as priority 3 projects in the facilities master plan. At the middle school, we could look at potentially the modernization of the track and expand it for inclusive PE and athletics out here. We have a track program and there's no track facilities for this field. There's no jump pit, there's no pole vault, and they have a track program. So again, as an example, this is potentially a signature project. At the high school, we could look at modernizing the culinary arts and robotics CTE labs. Trustee Shamas brought this up earlier. I figured I'd wait for this presentation to talk about it, but we could look at modernizing the JV baseball field to expand access and utility. We have old stands. We have ADA accessibility issues there. We would need a press box and lighting. And so these are just examples of those projects. So that is everything related to the facility subcommittee. Next slide. Actually, you know what? I should probably pause right there before I go into the budget subcommittee, unless you'd like me to continue. Okay, great. Just pull up that slide. Okay, so now we're looking at the advisory budget subcommittee. This is a subcommittee that will be important in advising the board through the superintendent on the budget development for 25-26 and onward. We'd like this committee to provide valuable insight to the district's financial planning and budgeting process. This committee supports, similar to the last committee, we would need this body helps with transparency, equity, and alignment with our district's strategic goals. It does so by evaluating budget priorities, looking at our multi-year projections and funding allocations. While the committee does not have decision-making authority, its recommendations help shape thoughtful, informed, and sustainable financial decisions. The recommendations support student success and responsible stewardship of public resources. Next slide. So here, like we showed on the previous slide deck, we have a committee structure. The committee is comprised of key district leaders, staff representatives, and board members. The committee will meet quarterly, similar to the last committee, throughout the 25-26 school year to discuss our budget priorities, challenges, and potential solutions. Each meeting, the committee will provide updates to the Board of Education. After each meeting, we'll provide updates to the full Board of Education summarizing key themes and recommendations. The committee's final recommendations will be delivered to the board prior to the January 2026 budget adoption by the state and will feed into our budget study session that we'll be holding in late January or early February. Next slide. So the goals of the subcommittee are to provide budget planning advice focused on transparency, equity, and alignment within our educational goals, all tied to our local control accountability plan. To partner with stakeholders to enhance their understanding of budgeting processes and how funding decisions are made. As an aside, the very first meeting that we're going to have will be kind of a educational instructional meeting where we go through what is SACS account coding, what are restricted resources, and what are unrestricted resources. What resources does this district have ongoing and what resources does this district have that will be expiring? So we're really going to dive in initially to kind of an informational setting of really educating that committee on what a school district budget looks like and the intricacies associated with school district budgeting. We will have they of course will need to understand and monitor the ongoing use of one-time funds, restricted resources to support strategic development as we proceed into our budget development phase in February of 2026. Some of the key responsibilities, as you can see on the right-hand side, are the understanding of the district's budget structure, navigating the SACS account code system, reviewing budget assumptions like enrollment and cost of living adjustments, and evaluating how the budget strategically supports the LCAP and students' needs. As it relates to the LCAP, we're in the final year of our LCAP, and it's crucial that we begin to develop the direct tie to our 2026 and forward LCAP back to our budget. So we believe this is a very good platform for the committee's involvement to give us some suggestions as we navigate through the development of the continued LCAP. I will pause there for questions.
So now we go back to the public, see if there's anyone that would like to comment on these two subcommittees. Seeing none, I will come back to the board. I'll just quickly say one note on the facilities that I like the priority 3 project prioritization plan. I'm very excited to see that. I would love to see a goal date. I like the timelines of the meetings, but like, are we expecting to see that in 26, 25, 27? Not asking to answer now, but that would be one of my only directions from that. Any other facilities or budget committee subcommittee questions?
Nothing new, but I'd agree with what you're saying. It's nice to, in the future, just sort of have something to look forward to with an end goal date, just for clarity.
Thinking, building on that too a bit, is the same with the budget committee. Probably be good to have a report out on our calendar moving forward, just to say like when we hope to get that information back. But again, that can come after the committee's created, but it's good to know what to expect.
Yeah, what I envisioned was every time we have a quarterly meeting, the very next board meeting, I'll do an information item reporting out the details or recommendations from that committee.
And then I do believe we have already 2 trustees who had volunteered for the budget committee, and that was Trustee Wax and Trustee McNeary. And so we would still need 2 trustees for the facilities committee. Do we have? Oh, I see a hand over there, Trustee Shamars. Anyone else who would like to volunteer?
I heard both, so that's awesome. Thank you so much, Trustee.
Wow, 2 committees. I heard that too.
Yeah, exactly. Hazing. Hazen, it's Hazen, not hazing. No, I'm just kidding. If you'd rather switch to the facilities from the budget.
It was the SACS accounting session, which really scared me off.
Nervous?
No, I mean, I would like to switch if possible, but if no one else wants to do it, I mean.
Okay, so I'm hearing for the facilities committee, Trustee Shamars and Trustee Wax. And so for budget, Trustee McNary, and we would want to see if
maybe leave it
else is
open
willing.
seat.
We can leave it open for now and see. Yeah, I will work
And at some point, I know we do this in
Digitally
December
listen.
as well, where we
Indeed.
start
Yeah.
deciding.
I just have to gauge what my schedule's going to be like and how much time I have to dedicate.
Thank you for that.
I'm definitely interested because I'd like to contribute, but I'm not sure that I can.
Appreciate
I have the
that.
capacity, but
Thank you.
to be determined.
Thank you. Okay.
I think that with that we've given some direction back on the calendaring and dates. So I think we can move on to item C, the EPA actuals, FY 24-25. I am paying attention to time, don't worry.
Thank you, President Dr. Hayes, and this should be fairly quick. The board approves in May the educational protection account for the upcoming fiscal year. This is an information item that we're doing now. I've inserted this last year and this year to give the board an idea of where EPA funds came in at actuals. So it is reported in the unaudited actuals, but it tends to get buried in the SACS forms. So this tonight is just an information item related to Proposition 30, and that's it basically requires us to delineate how we spend the educational protection account funds, and they have to be spent in the 1000s on teachers. So as you can see on page 394 of the board packet, budgeted were 322,804. Actuals came in at 323,256. So no action, just simply an information item that actuals came in higher than our budgeted amount for 24-25.
Any public comment on our EPA actuals? Seeing none, I go back to the board. Thank you for that info item. Much appreciated. No direction needed. So then we're on to item D, the board policy updates. And I know this is your item, Dr. Adamson, but I think we're gonna have Trustee Shamas read them all just in the interest of fun.
Yes. Quite happy to. I'm turning my mic.
What I was just gonna say about them is really probably the one that you might want to read in your leisure time is about AI, because we had some discussion about that and we talked about how it's such a moving target in terms of trying to pin down policy that fits, because it's continually changing. And but it is really important. So anyway, we're waiting to hear more stuff come to us in terms of policy on this. But you might want to read that at some point. It's not too bad. And the rest of the sex ed, the sexual harassment, I mean, it was very kind of minimal in terms of the adjustments that were made, and it's so I'm sure you can read that too, but and the rest we went through pretty quickly.
Awesome.
Thank you for that summary, Trustee. That's great. Yeah, appreciate that. I think just on the AI one, I think, it's definitely timely and, good that we've got something in place. But as you indicated, I mean, our discussion was very lively about that. And, it's definitely uncharted territory, and, it's going to be an ever evolving situation for sure. But good we have something now to reference. So it's,
I think that's definitely one of those that would be good to have some site input on as well, because it will differ, I think, among sites there.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if there's like a PLC related to AI, I guess, at the sites or, throughout the district.
I mean, it definitely is a topic that is probably comes up during the teachers, PLC discussions. But as far as, I mean, this policy is going to give us, direction that, our technology department is able to provide to our site admin to then, provide direction to teachers on, just some suggested usage and, guidelines that can be put in place for their own use, but also for student use. So that's really what, this provides.
Should go out quickly to public comment.
Just one other comment, just with the district technology plan, I just want to point out that, we're not, that is going to be postponed. It's just more work involved there. And so that'll be brought forward to a future committee meeting.
Okay. Anyone on the public? And I'll say the AI is on page 500 if folks do want to read that one. Want to comment on our board policies? If not, I will go back, sorry, to the board quickly on this. And thank you again, trustee Shamas and Linda and everyone. So there are a number of people here who were involved with updating these, so thank you. And I really appreciate the summary.
I will move that we approve.
No need to move. Oh, wait.
Oh,
No, yeah, this is the first reading.
Okay.
So,
first reading.
yeah, we will be bringing it back to the October meeting for official approval. This is just for input and
to
discussion.
bring all this paperwork back.
No,
Oh, yeah.
when we bring it back for approval, this is not included in the packet, right? Will be much lighter.
I know that, obviously, since it was brought up quickly, the 441, I really like the idea of trying to get out ahead. So I'm glad to see that the AI being put in here, but I think we're starting to see some educational advice, probably not in the California packets but of how AI can and should be used, as well as monitored. So. Okay. That I think we're on to future agenda items and we have 3 minutes left. I think Beth tabled one. I'll just repeat it if that's okay, just about dealing with our neighboring school districts.
Yeah, I just like to,
Attention now.
yeah, I like to, for us to think about like what would be the best way we could support them? Like either through a resolution or through some kind of statement where we ask other districts to join us in support, but just to let them know that as a school district, we are supporting that cause, just because we don't have fields around us doesn't mean that we don't care about all of our local children and their health.
I agree. I mean, I'd love to see that be something that's more than just a resolution, because resolutions can feel like lip service sometimes. It's not always, but I like the idea of looking to neighboring districts, maybe even talking to MCOE specifically to see if there's any efforts underway that we could sign on to.
Yeah,
just to see what that might look like. So maybe that's some future agenda item.
Sure.
Direction parking lot.
Absolutely. Yep, we'll add it to our list.
Agree
And
with that.
it could even be something at our special meeting that I can bring back some information from MCOE. So I will make that point to reach out to them.
Awesome. Any other future agenda items? Public comment if there's anything.
So I had sorry about that. I'm not sure how this is gonna play out as far as future agenda items, but I would like to bring that SRO contract discussion back in front of the board and however that needs to be facilitated.
That makes sense. I mean, are you okay? I mean, okay is probably not the best word, but I do think we're gonna have to push it to later in the year just because I think it has to be part of the comprehensive safety planning.
I think beginning discussions sooner rather than later and gathering as much public input as possible, I think is important. Student input, staff input. If there's a way to kind of get that ball rolling, and maybe that's the agenda item. I'm not sure, or we can discuss it offline somehow to figure out the best way to move forward. But yeah.
Wrapping up in 1 minute or whatever. So maybe what I'll say, I'll push that to the safety committee just to kind of maybe give us a timeline on when we could potentially see that back and as a broader.
We can add that to our agenda for our safety committee meeting, which is the end of September. And then we will bring back an update on that at our next meeting and other concepts.
Can they request that I attend the safety committee meeting? Is that?
You can be there, absolutely.
Okay,
yep.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Gaveling us out.